mission, burning ambition. You've got your eyes on the prize. You've gotta rise to the challenge. Show 'em what you got. Set them to take what's yours. You are kings now, Clash of Titans.
Two, one. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Episode number 83.
83, wow.
Creeping up on the 100. Took what, 2 weeks off, or a week?
1 week.
No,
1 week
yeah.
off. Took a week off. We're gonna try something new for you guys. Let us know how you feel about it. So pretty much what it comes down to, for me, and then like that's kind of telling them, I'm sick of being a weekly wrestling review show. I
Yeah.
think there's too many. And like, especially in our area, like we have especially the people we collaborate with, there's like 6 of us that are all doing the same thing.
Reviewing Raw, and
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about Raw, so that's
And,
fine.
and that's the thing too. It's like how many I don't want to keep putting wrestling down. You know what I mean? And obviously it's a slump right now when it comes to the main roster of WBE. So just to keep coming and being like, all right, this is garbage, it just feels like we're like bitter wrestling fans too.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
It's hard though,
And it's hard to find the things you are interested in when the negativity overshadows a lot of the positive.
Yeah.
You know? So, and like I said, we're not going to insult you if you watch pro wrestling. Obviously, you're watching it. So hearing us rehash what we feel about pro wrestling is just it's boring to me. I have a hard time listening to other podcasts that review shows because I watch it, then I do it, and then it's just like I don't know. We're over it.
I listen to Post Wrestling.
Yeah.
That's like my news source for them to review Raw and Dynamite.
Yeah. So we're gonna try something new. We're gonna still do like a little bit of like news, and maybe we'll if like something really really good happening during the week, like a really good match or a really bad segment,
Yeah.
which
Noteworthy. Yeah.
which Brian may have to talk about. We will cover stuff like that.
Mhm.
But
The
for
happenings
the
of
for the most part, we're not gonna really talk about storylines and build-ups until like a pay-per-view. Like this week
Mhm.
we are gonna cover a little bit of Hell in a Cell.
Which snuck up on it.
Yeah.
Until this past Raw, I forgot they used that awful red cell now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe they won't.
No, they had it on
They
Raw.
did,
Like
yeah, it was
they
on
brought it down. Yeah.
That was awful. Remember, it was red on red light.
As
That-
long as they
not
don't have
to
the red
talk-
light, yeah.
We still were gonna be negative, but I can't be. Remember that Hell in a Cell last year?
Yeah.
With feeding
Oh,
Seth Rollins.
jeez.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That was my. I had enough.
Yeah.
That's when I stopped watching Raw regularly, and I was like, I just don't give a shit.
Yeah. So we are do a little bit of review, I guess, leading up to the Hell in a Cell, and that's kind of how we're gonna keep it from here on out. It's gonna be we're not gonna do weekly stuff until the pay-per-view comes, then give you a recap of the storylines building up to that pay-per-view. So we'll be like, all right, listen, like Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, they're in a Hell in a Cell again this week, and just kind of an example. We'll be like, listen, at first the storyline was meh.
Yeah.
I was like Jey Uso, you know what I mean? Like that's for the most part. But then it grew on you. Like this is actually a decent rivalry. I'm like, I think Jey Uso's gonna win? Not a shot in hell. But
Of course.
it was a good build up.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. We'll do that.
Well, who's waiting in the wings for a title shot, right?
Otis.
The other
The
Uso.
no. Goldberg.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Is
There's
it-
there's a rumor that people think Roman's retiring.
no.
What? No,
Why-
he's
why
not.
would he retire?
That's stupid. Yeah, I don't.
Unless he was gonna be an actor, but then
Yeah.
I'm thinking. That's
Yeah. So
Nobody's making movies right now.
Yeah.
Everything's being postponed.
yeah. So and then what we will do this week in wrestling history still.
Mhm.
That's a fun thing. And then every week we're gonna pick a topic. The topic is gonna kind of like old school, the way we used to do the shows, but it start running longer because the reviews took up more of the time,
Yeah.
and we never really got the topics anymore. That's not the case. The topic's gonna be the main event of the show. So we're gonna pick either a story in wrestling history. We're gonna do maybe a spotlight on a wrestler, on an
Mhm.
event, on something interesting of wrestling. So it's gonna be more or less like even if you're not a wrestling fan, we feel like the story that we're going to tell at the end may be interesting enough that even if you're not a pro wrestling fan, the stories will be kind of like Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Speaking of, third season and
Coming
they
out.
officially announced it, and they said there was going to be a Brian Pillman one, the Clash in Korea WCW show, and there was another one. A guy.
The Grizzly
Grizzly
Smith and his family,
yeah,
basically.
Yeah. And they said what? I think there's 11, or then they put it to 14.
14.
The
14
episodes.
episodes.
So,
Wow.
man, I hope we get that XPW.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people clamoring for that one.
Yeah, I think they probably. Even Conrad was saying, and Conrad's tight with one of the producer guys. So I'm sure he was like, "Hey, you should do this."
Let's make that happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you are watching, the chat is open. Talk to us. Put your feedback in there. Tell us what you think, what you like, and let's have some fun here. Make sure if you are watching, hit that share button. Let people know that that we exist. The best way to make these podcasts grow is word of mouth. We do have a community, a wrestling community on our Facebook. It's the Tornado Tag Podcast Community. It's a group page. If you are a wrestling page, if you are a podcast, if you are a pro wrestler, if you have an event, a merch page, anything, that is open to everyone. The doors are open for anyone to come in here and share their content and share their
Sure.
cool stuff
News stories,
and news
whatever, yeah.
stories. We are going to start a threads every time wrestling is on. So if you are a fan and you want to start a thread like for Raw or SmackDown,
Discussion.
yeah, like a discussion. So like when Raw is live, we can have like a live discussion. We're gonna start one of those. It will start for Hell in a Cell this weekend. We'll start it up. I personally don't watch live, so I won't be able to participate too much in the live discussions. But you guys are more than welcome to do so. We do have in the links below also an Instagram, a YouTube page. So unless you are watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure you hit that bell. And hit the subscribe, comment as well below. More comments, the algorithms, all that fun stuff. Lets people know that this is a thing. If you're the person doing the thumbs down, you're still a coward.
Yeah.
We challenge you. We told you to comment in the section. You won't do it. You know you're a punk.
It's still attention.
Mhm.
Like they say, any attention is good attention.
Dude, if you are watching on YouTube, you thumbs down it too. Take his power away.
Yeah, but like, so let's say he's doing that, right? But they still go into YouTube and doing the link, so the algorithm still.
So
put
here's
that
a fun
to their
fact.
page.
Here's a fun fact.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
person-
gonna do a little angry thing on the Facebook. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the Facebook stream. I'll do the
Yeah.
angry face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fun thing
Here I
is
see it
that
popped.
unless it changed, the person who was giving the thumbs
Yeah.
down is a subscribed user.
Oh well.
Yeah.
So,
You-
yeah, but I mean, when you click on that video, that channel, it's gonna come up more because you're clicking on it. more.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
like,
they're
you're not-
helping us
you're
out.
not
Yeah.
Feeding. It's like them guys that buy the albums to burn them. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You-
You still bought it.
I think it's hilarious. I just think it's funny that they're not going to do it on any other platform because
Yeah.
they can get
Yeah,
exposed.
Well, yeah, you can't go.
but
on
they can
Facebook
hide
unless
on-
you make a fake account.
They can hide on YouTube.
Teddy Bear. That was one of the.
Oh
fake-
my God! Please, if you're the guy, make a fake
Yeah.
your Facebook account and just join
Maybe it's El Gran Gordo.
Yeah. Okay.
our El Generico. Yeah,
What?
No, he's in
is
an orphanage in Mexico.
Yeah.
I thought he was dead.
Might be. El Gran Gordo, the Great Fat. I think that. Is that
Yeah,
what that
pretty
means?
much.
Great
Yeah.
Fat.
Yes.
Apparently that was the same mask that La Luchadora
Oh,
wore,
really?
like Becky Lynch and Mickey.
Yeah, I remember that. I like that. It's probably just like in a bag. The road show. Like here's the
Yeah.
monitor and here's the bag of gimmicks, like they say.
Yeah,
for,
it's a box of
Bruce.
gimmicks. Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So while we're there,
Cock-a-doodle doo man.
when it comes to anything, well, I guess we'll skip it this week for anything interesting, except we'll kind of do for main roster, I guess, because obviously the lead up to Hell in a Cell, a lot of the stuff from Raw and SmackDown will be in
Mhm.
there because it's the lead up. NXT, for the most part, anything stand out?
I didn't have time to watch it. I
I
enjoyed
enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid show, top to bottom.
I agree.
Next week's
uh,
Halloween Havoc, right?
Next week is Halloween
Oh,
Havoc.
can't wait.
I'm excited.
I thought
Oh,
Shotzi.
one thing I do want to point out, they
Okay.
fixed it. They're saying spin the wheel, make the deal now. They fixed it. I was very happy to see that.
What was she saying before?
Make a deal.
Spin the wheel,
Oh.
make a deal. Yeah. I think
Idiots.
Shotzi just messed it up.
Oh well, she was a little too much when she was doing that. You're gonna wrestle at spin the wheel. I'm like, tone it down a little bit.
Yeah. I do have a pro wrestling loot crate box to do an unboxing for. We may do it after we wrap tonight. We may not. I was hoping that my pro wrestling crate will be here.
Mhm.
The pro wrestling tees crate. And just do 2 in one night and call it a day. So it is
They-
in there. Spoiler alert: there is a Halloween Havoc shirt in there.
Oh wow,
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
Yeah, it's the wheel, and
Yeah,
it's this wheel.
nice.
Make
That's
it.
one
make
cool
the
thing
deal.
everybody wanted for years. They're like, we don't use WCW.
There's a
Who
Kamala
cares?
mask.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
The autograph is really. I just fuck it. I'll just talk about it real quick. Hold
Yeah.
on.
I seen the Glacier mask.
That's for pro
Alex?
wrestling tees.
Oh, okay. The Glacier mask is because it's basically Glacier's mask, but a mask. Well, nowadays mask, a mouth covering.
So I
you
had the
will.
pro wrestling slam crate, right? And
Uh-huh.
I thought it was good, but the problem is it's loot crate and it takes forever to get here. So
Mhm.
we found this pro wrestling loot, and it's very similar to pro wrestling tees. You only get one T-shirt though. You get an autograph and you get like just miscellaneous things. So the first thing you get is a Kamala mask. So there's a Kamala mask.
That's funny.
The T-shirt, the spin the wheel, make the deal.
Okay, yeah. 90. What does it say? 96.
Yep. Have it. 92.
Okay, I was gonna say. I don't
Yeah,
think
they
had a
only
wheel
did
in
it 2
90.
years.
Yeah, they should have
Yeah.
had the whole time.
Yeah, they only did it the one with Sting and Jake and the one with Vader and Cactus.
No, okay.
Rodriguez.
Oh yeah,
Ken?
what's his name? Alejandro. No, not Alejandro. I'm thinking. of the other guy.
Ricardo.
Yeah, Ricardo
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, not Alejandro Estrada.
Armando.
Yeah,
Ha-ha!
Yeah,
The only
Estrada. Don't you dare get over.
Yeah. The only thing with this pack that I'm not super into is I mean it's not terrible. Just I
Mhm.
don't know anyone from it, but it's Four Corners cards. Like
Of Japan?
I guess so. Just called. It's just this
Is
four
one
corner
guy
cards.
Four corner? Let me see.
And it's just like a list. It's like all these. Look like independent guys.
Trey Miguel, Platinum Series, 4 corner cards.
Yeah.
The
And then
Platinum Series,
the Jushin Liger card.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like an artwork of Jushin
Are these? Oh, yeah, they're open.
and the autograph.
Oh, Rey Mysterio.
Fucking
Wow,
Rey
that's cool.
Mysterio autograph. I don't know. I think it's dope. I would never thought I would ever own a Rey Mysterio autograph, but here it is. Here we are.
I don't. The 4 corners cards must be the.
They look all indie guys.
Yeah, it's all random. indie guys.
Hopefully no drama about these trading cards. There was a little drama about trading cards the other weekend.
Really?
Yeah, when they had the collective, when GCW did the collective, where they did like Bloodsport and Joey Janela Spring Break and stuff like that, there was a lot of stuff going on. It was a couple
okay.
of the wrestlers tested positive for COVID,
Yeah.
and Ethan Page pulled out. Ethan Page was supposed to have a big part in Joey Janela Spring Break, but he got in a little bit of a Twitter fight with Janela because they were putting out these trading cards, and he was like, "Hey, if you're selling these, you should probably either get our consent to do them or pay us or both."
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Ugh.
And I guess he smoothed things over with Janela, but there was rumors that he had an argument with Brett Lauderdale, the guy who promotes GCW.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going through. It's just random. It's like they have Allison K, but then there's like some guys that have like Australian Wolf, some guys I've never heard of.
So the big thing with
Dirty Doug.
Yeah, the big thing with NXT is next week is Halloween Havoc, so they had some build up to that, and new tag team champ. So that's pretty much the thing we'll do too, if it, like big title changes and stuff. So we do have 2 new tag team champions, and Brian, you take that one away. That's your boys. You like that team?
Yeah, oh yeah, a big fan of the team, especially the one guy. But the main event was supposed to be the Undisputed Era against Breezango, but throughout the show, O'Reilly and Roddy both got attacked. So it winds up being Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, since they were the ones that lost the #1 contenders match. And they win with the help of a masked man. He almost looked like Cobra Commander with that mask. And he unmasks at the end of the show, and
Tully
it's Pat
Blanchard?
McAfee. He's back.
Yeah, Pat McAfee. I guess they're still building up for another Pat McAfee and Adam Cole match.
I think
don't
they're
know.
building up maybe for War Games, where it's going to be
Oh,
yeah,
Pat
he got-
McAfee, those 2 guys, and
call.
again, and another guy against
Yeah, because
Undisputed
that way
Era.
if he gets lost, he got like 9 other guys to go. Hey,
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Good call. Does Pat McAfee do something off top of the cell, off the cage?
Maybe.
Maybe not off the top, but like climbs up to almost the top. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Be interesting. Yeah. So that's pretty much the big thing with that NXT. Or I mean AEW. We pretty much had our first 4 matches to find out who's going to be in the finals now.
Yeah, of the tournament no one's seen coming. It's
Yeah.
not gonna be Kenny versus Hangman. No way.
Yeah. Right. Kenny.
Hey, it could still be Kenny against Wardlow.
Yeah.
No, it's Wardlow versus
Versus Penta or Phoenix.
yeah, but that's gonna be finals.
Yeah. That's the finals.
Wardlow wins.
Kenny squashes Sonny.
Yeah,
Um,
B Trigger, One Wing Angel. Good night.
Yep.
They did have that long intro for him when it said he also one time wrestled in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I was like,
With the 2 girls dancing with the brooms.
Yeah, and they broke the Meltzer 5-star.
The cleaner
sale.
girls, yeah.
Yeah.
Not only in singles but also tag team. I was like, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're just making him look like a total self-absorbed ass, which is
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, I we do have takes on if we think he's going to win the tournament, and I think we all are in agreement. No,
I think he is.
you think he's winning?
Yeah.
it?
It's possible. I think Hangman wins because I think that's what turns him from being this egomaniac to just being vicious and being
Yeah.
the cleaner. But I could see him winning. It could go either way.
Yeah, I think Hangman wins as well. I think Hangman gets the better of him, and then how Brian says he kind of just snaps.
Mm-hmm.
He snaps and is like not heel, but like the cleaner. He goes
Yeah.
back to like serious business.
Yeah, he's already a heel.
yeah.
Hey, no. There's already a serious
Yeah,
business.
come on now.
Oh yeah, sorry. Good call. I didn't even realize I said that.
Wait till I get there and I'm in the tournament.
Yeah. Phoenix and Pentagon was fantastic.
But yeah, it was. I mean, Phoenix looks like he got his bell rung a little bit there on that.
There's a few
Ro-
times in the show
Yeah,
that
the head scissors off the top rope. I was like, ooh. And then, like, fucking Pentagon goes for a flipping DDT. I'm like, and then he's just kind of blurp. I was like, ooh.
yeah.
But then he got back together, though. So,
Jungle Boy and Wardlow was awesome. I
he's a
like
good
Jungle
opener.
Boy.
Yeah, but yeah, he's good.
Yeah. Wardlow reminds me of and this isn't a knock. This isn't me not taking a shot at anybody, but he reminds me of a more athletic Mike Orlando.
Okay, I can.
Because he can do flips and stuff.
Yeah, I mean he's still green, but he's good. You can tell he's more seasoned.
Because I guess they both have very similar looks. They play the big guy roles and stuff. But Wardlow is very athletic for his size.
Yeah, he is. He's still young, so
yeah. And
he
then
got a good future ahead of him. And
Hangman-
so's Jungle Boy.
Hangman Cole Cabana. It
was all right.
It was all right.
Yeah.
Didn't blow me away. But
What's his name? Watching the match just looks so outrageous. Evil Uno with his mask and suit, and he's like, I'm
Yeah.
like, what? What is going on?
But then the highlight of the show, Brian,
Was the Britt Baker job match?
it was the musical.
Well, yeah, it made me turn the show off. I didn't watch the end of Dynamite, so really bad. I'm fine with comedy in wrestling. I'm fine with being experimental in wrestling, but be consistent. Like, I get that MJF's entire gimmick is he's a troll, but you already did the SNL ending. You had a fucking musical on your show. Tony Khan, before this thing started, was like, oh, we're going to be like Mid-South. Bill Watts would have fired everybody involved with that segment.
Yeah. Half the guys that worked there wouldn't work there. Bill Watts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Andy and I, in the group chat, we agreed on this. We kind of both feel like this was designed specifically to piss off Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
And
Which is like,
that's exactly, yeah.
Okay, you want to do that, but is that the reason you're going to put on a show to piss one guy off?
Yeah.
How about to entertain millions?
Yeah,
Like-
the whole thing with the steak in the beginning was funny. And then
Yeah, I was like-
after they got done
okay.
singing,
I'm like,
after
But
they
they've
got done
also
singing,
done the same thing with these two for like 6 weeks in a row.
yeah.
yeah.
And then after they
and
got
I'm-
done singing, and they just did the steak's too rare, man.
Yeah.
that was funny. Like it started off good, ended good, but in the middle, the singing part was
I'm-
just like,
I absolutely hate musicals.
yeah,
I hate any musical involving anyone about anything. I just fucking hate
I don't
it.
mind musicals.
But-
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
It's okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like-
mean, if you like musical, but it's out of place. Like always, the reason why I hate it is,
Yeah.
in what situation in life have you ever said the only recourse I can take is to break into song? That does not happen. I understand this
Right.
suspending disbelief. It's professional
it
wrestling.
happens every time we end the show. We
But,
do
like-
we do a musical at the very
Yeah.
end after we turn the cameras
It's
off.
like, when have you ever been like, oh,
I have to sing.
I lost my job and I don't know what to do. Like, that doesn't happen. And so it doesn't happen in wrestling either. So like, at least it wasn't a match. That's what I can say.
yeah,
But as soon as they started singing, I was like, I'm done. I'm out.
yeah,
I mean, I did watch the rest of the show, but I zoned right out.
Yeah.
I was looking at my phone and petting my cat.
yeah. It was.
Yeah, like
go ahead.
I enjoy musicals. I saw The Book of Mormon on Broadway. I saw Spamalot locally. Especially comedic musicals. I liked Hamilton, but I don't want it in wrestling. I watched Hamilton. I didn't want Aaron Burr to get powerbombed through a table at any point in that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want a lot of things in wrestling that I like. It just has no place.
What do you guys think? If you guys are watching or hanging
Yeah.
out with us, what did you think of the musical?
A
Were
lot
you a
of people
fan or
did
not?
like it. And I'm like, I don't. But here's the thing.
no, did people
seems
like it
like
'cause
the
it was Chris
people
Jericho?
who liked it really liked
Maybe.
it, and the people who hated it hated
Yeah,
it.
but like, what does it make you want to see? Everything in wrestling makes you want to see
If
something.
Chris
That's what
Jericho
it's
did that
designed for.
musical on Raw, it would have been shit on.
Yeah, well, they said
yeah.
Elias did that, which was also terrible.
See, I
Um,
didn't mind Elias's.
Ugh.
But that's Elias's gimmick.
yeah.
Chris Jericho and MJF aren't the fucking honky tonk man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is true.
I didn't mind Elias's.
Oh.
I actually thought the band. I mean, it's not your style of music
No.
at all. But I think
Christian-
from a music
Christian
standpoint,
soft rock or something.
yeah, as a musical standpoint, he didn't have a terrible voice, and he didn't. He was pretty decent on his guitar. Yeah, he was better than I anticipated him
Okay,
to be.
there you go.
Yeah, it's like when Jeff Jarrett went out and lip synced.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like,
I don't know. I'd rather listen to
Every-
With My
every-
Baby Tonight.
everyone in the crowd with their mullets, like he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Spend my time on the go with the
yeah,
hands on the clock.
I'm not saying I'd run out and buy Elias's
No,
album.
nobody is. But they're actually selling that album. It's like, how are you going to sell an album when he's a heel and we're supposed to boom? Like, why would we buy his album?
Yeah.
Now, if he's a good guy, you'd be like, okay, when John Cena did his rap album.
Well, he should turn around and be like, this album is selling millions.
Oh
of
yeah,
copies.
well they're gonna say that no matter
yeah.
what.
So
But I didn't like either. But I don't want a musical, and I just But here's the thing: everything in wrestling is designed to make you want to see something. What do you want to see after that? I don't want to see Chris Jericho versus MJF, and I don't even want to see them tag up.
Yeah.
So what did that segment do? Other than, hey, wasn't that something?
Yeah.
You know, that was something. All right.
It's interesting. It was an interesting idea. But yeah, it was.
I mean, it gets talked about because it's so out there.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm sure there's gonna be a T-shirt made.
just like when the Firefly Funhouse first came as puppets, it's like, well, that's
Yeah.
so out there.
All right, let's get in this week in wrestling history.
All right. I have 2 shows that happened this day in wrestling history. They're kind of nice, not even numbers, but nice round numbers. So 25 years ago today,
Jesus.
October 22nd, 1995, we had In Your House 4 Great White North from Vancouver. And this was the show that had the shortest intercontinental title reign of all time.
Oh, Dean Douglas.
Dean Douglas, yeah. He was supposed to wrestle Shawn Michaels. Michaels was the Intercontinental Champion at the time. But about 10 days before this, Michaels was attacked by, some say, anywhere from 3 to 10 Marines at a bar in Syracuse.
Yeah. Why the Bulldog and X-Pac were drunk in the car.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so yeah, he was out of he was out of commission for a little bit there. So he had to forfeit the title. The old Shawn Michaels title change. It's his specialty.
Yep.
Losing the title without losing the title.
Love it.
This was the third time he did it, and there would be more in the future. But they had a time when he had the dispute when he dropped the Intercontinental title the first time. When they had the tag titles, they lost because him and Diesel turned babyface, and then this one. So Dean Douglas gets the win there. Tony, do you remember Dean Douglas?
Is it the dean of? No, I'm trying to think.
Shane Douglas.
Shane Douglas.
And I
yeah,
give you the grade of an F.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah,
had
you
like light
have-
blue.
You have the hottest, most cutting edge heel in the business, and you make him into an evil teacher because he was a teacher before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of his first promos when he went to
Yeah,
ECW was, when I got back from Cartoon Land. I'm like, that's so good.
And he had the crest on his.
Yeah,
like
the
ha-
cape,
like
and he
the
had
Harry,
a hat when he first
yeah,
came
like,
out.
He had like
and
the
it's
Harvard crest on his.
yeah,
because
because he was a dean,
he
the dean of
Did
wrestling.
he have did he have an exclamation point on the back of his singlet?
I think he
seem to
did.
remember
yeah,
that.
the baby blue singlet, and it's like, oh boy, what are we doing here? Dean Douglas, and like, well, your last name is Douglas, so you're gonna be Dean Douglas, yeah, like the dean of students.
You figured it out.
This was around the time that everybody had to have a job.
Yeah.
The wrestling business was so down at this point. You had to have a second job.
Plumber,
You had the plumber.
Race car
You had the
driver.
garbage man.
Yeah.
It's people who stole stuff.
Repo man, yeah. We could maybe talk about
Pig
him later.
farmer, you know, had to have an occupation.
Yep.
Evil dentist. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any,
So,
any other stupid ones.
Yeah, there were so many of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Truck driver. Was Diesel supposed to be a truck driver?
Yeah.
I don't know. Or was he supposed to be a truck?
I
I
think
don't
he
know.
was supposed to be a truck. Remember his first music was just
Like a idling engine.
Yeah, it was an
Yeah.
idling diesel truck that just kept blowing its horn, and then they added the
And they had,
dum 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 dum.
The
dum.
I think that was
generic
when he became
baseline.
a babyface. They added that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this match, Dean Douglas wins the IC title by forfeit. But then he immediately has to wrestle Razor Ramon, who
Edgy
beats him.
bro.
So Dean Douglas's Intercontinental title reign lasted a whopping 13 minutes 52 seconds.
Ain't that something?
If you're listening,
And
Jeff always picks on me saying Shane Douglas is better than Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels never had a 13-minute title run. Just saying.
13 minutes. I don't think many people have.
I
Take
think
a
I think
13-minute promo to
I think
take a
there's
13-minute promo to give up the titles.
yeah I think there's guys who held a 24/7 title longer than that.
Oh God.
24/7. Did you see what Charlie Caruso said on Raw Talk? Oh my God.
No, I didn't.
She called it the 24/7 9/11 747 title.
Yeah, that's what Truth says.
The
Truth says.
9/11?
48/7. She said 9/11.
Oh, 9/11. Oh.
747. And then 747 like a jumbo jet.
Oh boy!
It's like,
Wow.
whoa.
She's a big 911 and One Man Gang fan. So just put them together.
That's 9/11 for 747
Well,
title.
she did.
Wowzer.
She's probably done.
Good thing that happened on Raw
in
Talk.
real life.
Yeah, nobody saw it.
Yeah, nobody saw that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Razor wins the title. That was his fourth Intercontinental title, his final Intercontinental title. And that was the record at the time. I think either Miz or Jericho has the record now, but 4 was the record at that point. And Douglas buried by the Click, and he would leave WWF shortly thereafter. I think like November, January, or December, January, he was wrapping up. And then he went right back to ECW. Do you remember? Because I think he was supposed to wrestle like Ahmed Johnson or somebody at the In Your House in December. And they wound up having his graduate student, Buddy Landell, wrestle instead.
Oh, God. Buddy Landell notoriously he would come in, work, and get high, and then just not show up to work. And they're like, okay,
Yeah.
you're not going to wrestle for the world title? Okay. So that's why his career was always like, yep, nope. So, Buddy Landell.
Yeah.
It was a shame. He's pretty good.
Oh, he was talented, yeah. The other big thing this show was known for was the in-ring debut of Goldust.
Ooh.
Going back and watching old Goldust matches and stuff where he was on TV, oh boy, those
Yeah.
crowds.
I know. How about the stuff they used to say? In the early
This was
90s.
before they started doing the gay overtones. I think when he first came out, there was chant like Power Ranger at him.
That and the F word that doesn't mean Friday.
Yeah, and his old
Yeah.
suits were pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
I always loved his music too. That's
Yeah.
some of the best music ever.
Well, didn't they do the TV was later. HGTV.
Oh, gee, that was
Or
way
yeah,
later.
that was-
it was way
That's
later. It
like
was
yeah, way
like
later.
5 years later, probably.
Yeah.
99, yeah.
And they never confirmed that was actually Goldust.
No, they never did.
But they it was
Well,
supposed to be.
It was supposed to be his thing, and I think he left or whatever, got fired.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, he left right the first time they did it, and WWE has stuff on your YouTube channel that says this is not true. It is. I found the Raw on the network one day. I forget which one it was. The first time they did it, it was called GDTV.
Yeah. And then they said, well,
And
no, that
then-
was goddamn. No, it wasn't.
And then they just then there was always talk that it might be like they were going to try to get Tom Green to be on there because it was when Tom Green was really
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
And I think if you can make an argument for anybody, it was Thrasher from the Headbangers because he was the only person to ever summon GTV.
No, wow.
Yeah.
Because it was when Mosh was Chaz. It was when they stopped doing the beaver cleavage thing. And he had the girl with her. And unfortunately, she passed away very young. Her name was like Mariana or something like that.
Yeah, it was like his girlfriend in real life.
And she would come out with like black eyes and stuff.
Fun fact.
And she was
Thrasher follows us on Instagram.
Oh, that's cool.
and she would act like, "Oh, Mosh or Chaz beat me," and
Oh
then
yeah, I remember that.
like they summon GTV. Thrasher comes out and they summon GTV, and it shows her like putting makeup on, showing she was making it up.
Yeah.
And then I think they were going to bring the Headbangers back, and then they just scrapped it, and they wound up doing other stuff with
Well,
them.
remember, Bruce always talks about he wanted to make one of them. I think Thrasher, DTK, Doink the Clown. And he's gonna make, like a new evil Doink.
Yeah, there was a one of the video games, one of the N64 games, either No Mercy or WrestleMania 2000. There was a Thrasher, like he wasn't in the game, but his face was one of those like character select things where they go in the little boxes,
Mhm.
and it was like Thrasher with clown makeup. Like he never wore that.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so but they said it was like real close to happening. I think he was even going to manage him, his brother Love.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
But, yeah. Because I know he talked about that on the show a lot. So I was like, I think that would have worked in '99.
I was sold on
Yeah.
Goldust from the beginning.
I always like Goldust,
I
but like
loved
you're
it.
a little kid, like, oh, is he gay? Like, and then that promo now that King cuts when he turns face for the first time, he's like, well, aren't you, queer? And it's
Yeah.
like, what? And he's like, no, and he beats him up. The crowd's like, yay!
Yeah.
You can never do that today.
Yeah, no, I was sold on it from the jump. I thought it was, I don't know, it was just so different.
Yeah, it
I
looked
don't
cool.
know.
I didn't know like Dustin Rhodes at the time because I didn't watch WCW, and then he took off his wig. I'm like, oh, I thought that hair was real. Like, I was only 12.
Well, still one of my favorite pay-per-views, that WrestleMania when Brett beat Sean.
No,
Sean beat Brett,
the
Sean
Backlot
beat
Brawl?
Brett, and then the Backlot Brawl.
Yeah,
Backlot, bro.
I
They
just
show footage of the OJ chase like
Yeah.
it's Goldust and Piper.
fucking love that pay-per-view. It's one of my favorites.
Piper breaks his hand.
Yeah. So like Sean and
Goldust hit him with a
Sean and
car.
Yeah.
Sean and Goldust were like skyrocketed for me after
Yeah.
those pay-per-views.
That's a good pay-per-view.
As a matter of fact, with that show, with this show, the In Your House we're talking about, that was 25 years ago today, one of the big things was, Goldust beat Marty Jannetty. He would beat Razor for the Intercontinental
Didn't
title
he squash Marty
later that
Jannetty?
year,
Probably. Marty
or at
was
the Royal Rumble.
Marty was on the way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marty was just kind of in and out. So the other matches, they had the free-for-all back then. If you looked on like TV Guide channel or the preview channel, they would have like the half-hour preview show. On the free-for-all, you had Bob Sparkplug Holly beating
Ooh.
Rad Radford.
Radford, Louis Spicoli.
Yeah. Another guy where he was super hot somewhere else. He was doing this gimmick in Mexico where he was called Madonna's boyfriend. And they signed him and they made him Radford.
Yeah, he was supposed to be Nirvana, basically.
Yeah.
I guess someone showed Vince a picture of Nirvana or Pearl Jam. Oh, look at that. What are they, Vince? Or Vince was like, what are they? They're radsters. They're rad dudes.
They're rad dudes.
Well, they're gonna name them Radford.
Thank you so much, Jen. Hey, thank you for hanging out and giving us a share. I appreciate it. You're the MVP of the podcast.
And then we had the Smoking Guns defended their tag titles against 1, 2, 3 Kid and Razor Ramon. So you had Razor pulling double duty here.
Wow.
Oh my
that
God.
was
This next
I think
match.
that was setting up the turn because I think 1, 2, 3 Kid turned on him either
Yeah,
that show or really soon after.
The $1 million corporation.
This next match is a barn burner.
Mabel beat Yokozuna, or Mabel and Yokozuna wrestled to a double countout.
5 stars. 5 stars.
This was supposed to be, I think, Mabel against The Undertaker, and Mabel or Yokozuna, one of them, leg dropped The Undertaker and legit broke his orbital bone, and he was out for a while.
Is that the Phantom mask?
Yeah, that was when he came
that's
back. He had the mask. Yeah.
And there's a toy of that, I think, too. It was really cool. Or the mask came with the toy. I remember I had it. What was the first Undertaker? Or the second one of the Jacks? He had glow in the dark skin. Do you remember that, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that somewhere at my mom's house.
So this was when Gorilla Monsoon was the fan-friendly president,
Okay.
and he was like, "Well, if you two beat up the Undertaker, you have to wrestle each other."
And people were like, I don't want to see that.
I want to say this is around the time, and he wasn't there long, but I'm almost positive this was around the time that Bill Watts was involved with WWF.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
And he was
a couple months,
couple weeks even, I think, because
wow.
he was like, I want to have full say, and Vince is never going to give that up. He figured that out.
He left. Yeah.
And your main event was British Bulldog, the freshly heel-turned British Bulldog,
With short
beating
hair.
Diesel by countout.
Oh, when he cut those braids off, I felt like I was betrayed.
And the match here was so bad. This is when Vince would still do commentary. The match here was so bad that after the match, when the pay-per-view was off the air, Vince takes his headphones, throws them down on the table, yells horrible at Bulldog and Diesel, and then a month later, Bret Hart beat Diesel for the title at Survivor Series.
Oh, that's funny. It probably
So
was
that
a
was-
good match. I don't remember that one offhand, but back when I remember like as a kid, but like now I should watch it just to see. But that was bad.
Yeah. So then 5 years later, the business is doing much better. This is October 22nd, 2000. WWE No Mercy, the
Best video game ever.
pay-per-view that inspired the game. Oh, yeah. This is No Mercy, the game, not the pay-per-view.
No.
And the Attitude Era is in full swing now. Wrestling is hot. WWE especially is hot. WCW not so much. They're almost dead. But the big selling point of this No Mercy pay-per-view 20 years ago today is it was the in-ring return of Steve Austin after he got hit by the car and had neck surgery. This was his first match back against the man who hit him, Rikishi.
Yeah. And why did he do it? I did it for The Rock. I did it for The Rock.
But then they retconned it and said Triple H put him up to it.
Yeah, I was like, did they ever say who drove the Hummer too? Remember that?
I think it wound up being like they never said it, but somebody came out of the Hummer, like Bischoff or somebody later. So I think you're years later. So you're supposed to put 2 and 2 together.
I did it 5 years ago, then wasn't around for 2 years.
Jen says she needs a wrestling name. What would her wrestling name be?
I don't know. I have to think.
We'll have to
What's
think
her
of
last name? Myers, right?
Myers.
Myers. Oh, let's see. We'll come up with something.
We'll think of something. Yeah. We'll think of something. All right, go ahead.
So the other big, so this is a no contest. So they fight all over the place. It's a no holds barred match, and they're fighting out in the back, out in the parking lot. And Austin gets Rikishi down, and he's about to run him over, and then a cop car stops and like comes in between them, and they arrest Steve Austin, and that's the finish. Attitude Era. Attitude Era. The main event here, the last match on the show was Kurt Angle beating The Rock in a no DQ match when Rikishi tried to interfere to help to do it for The Rock. And he backfired, and Angle beat.
You think
he
he'd
beat
learn?
The
He
Rock.
was almost murdered.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Well, Rikishi got it when he had to fall off that fucking cage then at the next pay-per-view.
like Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Armageddon, yeah.
When he
Fell
fought
down.
the truck with hay in it. It's like,
Yeah.
ooh.
That was a scary spot. That's a lot.
Yeah. Landed on hay, like this is gonna cut you all up and like
Yeah.
no, it's like paper cuts all over you.
Yeah.
Well, what if
So
we get...
and after that, like, hey, we don't have to do a crazy bump in every Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, you don't have to. What if Jen gets the Austin Star gimmick and she could be Jen the Star, or Jen the superstar with 2 R's? Yeah.
Or
Jen Star.
she's a huge Toolshed Jack fact. So
Okay,
she could be Jen Toolshed.
Toolshed Jen.
Toolshed
Yeah,
Jen.
Toolshed Jen. We gotta give her a crazy last name.
Yeah.
Manson.
Yeah, man. There we go. She's a murderer.
Toolshed Jen Jack.
Jen Jackson.
Well, no,
Jen Jackson.
Jenny
yeah, 'cause
Jackson.
Cactus Jack was for a little while, like I think it was world class. He was Cactus Jack Manson.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Jen Jack. Jackson Jack.
See, that's how rolls. That's how
Yeah.
you come up with names.
Toolshed Jen Jackson.
There you go.
But sometimes you're like,
you
you go that, and then all of a sudden you say T-bar.
Yeah.
T-bar, J-bar.
Yeah. Ugh.
So this is Angle's first WWE title, and it was less than a year after he debuted. He debuted the November the year before.
Yeah, how
So he's
about
on
that?
TV less than a year, and he's the world champion, and
Hey,
he deserved it.
And I think he already won the Intercontinental too, or the European.
Both. He had them
Yeah.
both at the same time because he said something very famous. He would call himself the Euro Continental Champion, and he said, "I am the first European and Intercontinental Champion except for D'Lo Brown, and he doesn't count."
Yeah, Kurt Angle is like good on the mic right away too, which is
Kurt Angle was so good.
Yeah. People try to like. I think when it comes to male and also a female, when it comes to like best rookie years in wrestling, Ronda and Kurt are probably very high up there. I mean, Ronda not so good on the mic,
might be
but
number one for me.
Kirk's number one as well, just because of his mic work.
Yeah, Kurt was just like, wow, he's great all around. Like,
Yeah, he was great in the ring too. It wasn't just mic
Yeah.
work.
So he was another one. Bought in right away.
Yeah,
Bought
Kurt
in right away. Loved it. And then what put him over for me big time is when him and the Eddie feud.
Okay, yeah.
When Eddie would put Eddie in the ankle lock and he would take his boot off.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, this is amazing.
I always like the Kurt Angle Shawn Michaels feud. I'm just the sexy Kurt.
Yeah.
Sherry back.
Or when he came
Yeah,
out with the
Sherry
milk,
sing-
when he came
singing
out with the
with him.
milk truck and sprayed
Yeah.
everybody.
Steve Austin. They didn't mention the Steve Austin thing at all.
Yeah. Oh my god.
There was a thing because he won the King of the Ring that year, his first year too. And right afterward, he's in the locker room, and Hardcore Holly like kicks his crown, and he's like, "You kicked my crown." And Hardcore Holly's like getting all fired up, like, "Well, yeah, I'm gonna go out there and kick your ass too." And like just yelling at him, he just goes, "You kicked my crown." Like he's still mad about the crown.
He's amazing. Man. I love Kurt.
Too bad he
Kurt
didn't
was
stay there longer, but he had his his problems. And they went. He was actually in TNA longer than WWE.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
And he did some good stuff in TNA, but
Right before he came back to WWE, I watched a video where he wrestled. Was it Morrison? Johnny Morrison? In a cage match in like a high school or something like that. Like
wow.
and he did a moonsault off the top of the cage.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like
Kurt Angle's moonsault always looked awesome.
Yeah.
Always.
it was like a really crazy match. But go ahead. Yeah, Brian.
There was another title change on this show. Tag titles changed hands. The Hardy Boys lost the tag titles to Los Conquistadors.
Oh my God! I wonder who they were.
They were Edge and Christian this
Yeah.
time. There's one time I think who was it? Christopher Daniels and Aaron Aguilera or somebody
Yeah,
like that, or
that's great,
Frankie
yeah.
Kazarian might have been one of them.
So that way, like Edge and Christian can come out like, we're not them.
Yeah, I think they were on commentary,
Yeah.
and Edge and Christian were on commentary, and they were wrestling. And then the next night, the Hardy Boys got the titles back because the next night it was supposed to be Edge and Christian against the Conquistadors, and they were just gonna have like two guys under the mask and have them lose to Edge and Christian. But the Hardys beat up those guys backstage, and they were the Conquistadors, so they won the match unmasked, and they were the champions again. So I guess they beat themselves the night before.
It was weird too because the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian kind of came from the same. Like they both were like kind of got their start with Gangrel. Like the Hardy Boys were with Gangrel for like a hot second, and
That's
then Edge
not
and
how they
Christian,
started, but they were they were the new brood when Edge and Christian left Gangrel
Yeah.
for a minute.
and then obviously Edge and Christian started. Dude, one of the coolest moments I remember with the Brood is when they had somebody, I forget who it was. They had them like trapped in like a parking lot, and I think it was the Brood and the Ministry were working together,
Okay.
and Edge like just comes crawling up over the top of a car, and he just like has his sunglasses and his long hair, and he's just like giving like that face.
They were vampires.
Dude, it was such a cool shot. I remember seeing that as a kid. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Right.
I remember they helped hang the Big Boss Man at WrestleMania 15 too. I was there.
Boy. Oh God.
I still can't
That
think
was
of
awful.
And it's so like it makes you feel uneasy now because this is literally like 2 months before Owen Hart died.
Yeah.
But they came down like the same thing on wires from the rafters. And they landed on the top of the cage and they like dropped a noose down and then the Undertaker hanged the Big Boss Man.
He
Yeah.
died. He died.
He died that
Yeah,
night.
he died.
Well, no, he died much later.
And then the Big Show.
Well, that's what he gets for Big Show's dad.
Yeah, he
Big
drugged-
Show, I'm gonna drag your daddy.
I felt like it was so bad that man, but it's like Repo Man. He was such an over the top bad guy that I look back and like that was fun.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much TV
killed
time
the
he's
guy's
getting
dog
now.
and fed it to him.
Yeah. You like that? You like that, Al Snow?
Pepper steak.
Yeah.
Apparently that was based on something that Mr. Fuji actually did to somebody.
Yeah. What was it?
That's fucked up.
Snuka or something? I forget. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, he killed somebody's dog and fed it to them.
I would kill that dude.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I would eat Mr. Fuji.
And then the other matches on the show, you had the Dudley Tables Invitational. It was like those tag team turmoil matches they have now, where it's like two teams fight, and then the winner fights somebody else, and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
But they were all tables matches. So the Dudleys wound up winning. The other teams involved were Too Cool, Lowdown. Speaking of Chaz,
Wow.
Mosh, Lowdown. That was him, and it was him and who was the other guy with him?
No,
In Lowdown.
D'Lo. It was him and
yeah,
D'Lo.
D'Lo.
But I was thinking, what was the shitty tag team with Tiger Jeet Singh? And
Well, he was their manager, Tiger Ali
okay,
Singh.
that's
was
right.
their
Yeah,
manager.
yeah. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Oh, awful.
Lowdown, Raven, and Taz were in this, and the Godfather and Bull Buchanan, or the Goodfather, sorry,
yeah,
the
Right to
Goodfather
Censor.
and Bull Buchanan, right to censor.
How do you not get a tag team like Raven and Taz over?
And it's like, oh, that's ECW.
Because the first night he was in the company, Vince McMahon said, "Who the fuck hired Raven?" That's why.
I liked Raven.
Well, the rumor is, and this is as Bruce Pritchard would say, rumor and innuendo, was that he when he was there as Johnny Polo, when he was managing the Quebecers and he was an announcer, he was apparently a bad influence on Shane McMahon.
Oh, okay.
That's the rumor, but who knows if it's true or not.
Yeah.
You also had a no contest with APA and Lita against Test, Albert, TNA, and Trish Stratus. The APA got beat up in the back, and we were like kind of 3-on-1 against Lita, but then the Hardy Boys came out to save them. Chris Jericho beat X-Pac in a cage match on this show. The finish is what this is memorable for. I kind of remember this because Jericho came out through the door, and X-Pac was trying to come out from over the top of the cage, and he was dropping down, but Jericho opened the door, and X-Pac crouched himself in the cage door.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then we had the other members of the Right to Censor, Val Venus and Steven Richards. They beat Mr. Ass and China when Eddie Guerrero interfered.
That's the name,
Mr.
Anytime you say Mr. Ass in a serious context.
Mr. Ass of the Texas Asses?
Yeah. Oh, Mr. I know Bobby Ass.
Mr. William Ass.
Yeah. Oh,
If that
man.
would have been his name if he was in the Right to Censor.
Yeah, William Ass. It's funny.
William Buttocks.
Yeah. Why didn't Val Venus get his name changed? Val Venusinski or something
Yeah.
like.
Hello, ladies. He's like a big pot dealer now.
Yeah.
right?
He's fat.
He's yelling about politics on
Yeah.
Twitter. He's yelling at The Rock and Mick Foley and Batista.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna listen to you, Val Venus.
Yeah. Didn't you get your dick cut off by
Yeah.
Taka Michinoku?
No,
No, Yamaguchi
Kaintai,
son.
yeah.
Yamaguchi son.
What was Taka's
And then-
sister or something like that? He was banging Taka's sister.
No, he was banging Yamaguchi's son's girlfriend. Wife, yeah.
Yeah.
But didn't they
And-
lump Taka
Yeah, it was
Michinoku?
Taka's sister. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Taka's
Was
sister
it Taka's
too.
It was
okay.
Taka and
Oh, okay,
Funaki
okay.
were part of that stable
That's
too.
That's how they turned Taka heel because Taka wasn't part of that group.
Yeah. No, he wasn't. Even in Japan and Kaintai. It was,
And no, he didn't get his penis cut off
Yeah.
because he had shrinkage, and then John Bobbitt turned
Saved
the
him.
lights off.
yeah.
And
and
saved him
saved him.
John Bobbitt was just there for no reason.
because he legit got his dick cut off.
John Bobbitt has the mutant power to show up anytime a man's penis is in trouble. He just teleports there to save
He
him.
helped me. He helped me many
What
times
kind
in
of-
high school.
What kind of bat signal do you have for that?
Yeah.
It's the Bobbitt signal.
a thumb, like
Don't hook up that girl. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Get out of here, son. Thank you, John
Yeah,
Bobbitt.
thanks, John Bobbitt. No problem.
Can we make that into a comic book?
Yeah.
Where John,
There's
John
your
Bobbitt
episode title for
saved-
this week. Thanks, John
Yeah.
Bobbitt.
Is
Yeah.
John Bobbitt still alive? Remember he did a porno too then?
he did with his
Frankenpenis,
reconstructed.
yeah.
with his reconstructed.
Good for him. What was his wife's name? I can't remember.
Lorraine.
Lorena.
Oh, yeah, Lorraine
Lorena
Bobbitt,
Bobbitt.
yeah.
She cut it off, threw it out the car window,
Remember that?
or threw it out the bedroom window.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was the story of quite the time.
And
Man,
then we also had two other matches here.
Why can't news be good like that anymore?
I know. We'll get back to that.
Yeah, let's make America
Well,
great
yeah, 'cause
again.
Let's start cutting off genitalia and doing car chases. Look, it doesn't fit.
Yeah,
Look at that.
we need good stuff again.
Oh,
mean,
the 90s were so good.
We don't condone murder or anything, but it does help Brian's podcast.
Yeah.
It does. It does. Then we had the European title was at stake here. William Regal. I'm laughing because we wrestled. William Regal beat Naked Midian.
Oh God, with his fanny pack and no tights.
Naked Midian. And then we also had Triple H defeating Chris Benoit on that show too.
Yeah.
So birthdays this week. Birthdays. We had a bunch of birthdays this week.
You go check
starting.
Let me go check on the Facebook.
Yeah. You need to look for the.
I looked real
ones.
quick. I didn't see any, but I could have.
I know,
we did
what
miss
I
one
do want to
last
mention-
week. We did one. We missed one last week when we weren't having when we did the Maestro from High
Yeah,
Tension.
Anderson Scott. Yep.
Yep, Anderson Scott's
Oh,
birthday was
I
that.
immediately thought Maestro from WCW.
Not Gorgeous George III.
Who then couldn't use the name and went by the Stro on the Indies, which was fucking awful.
Yeah, Anderson Scott from High Tension. His birthday was, I believe, last Thursday. It would have been the day of the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next day, the 16th of October, was the 37th birthday of Kenny Omega,
Ooh.
the cleaner, the whatever he's called now. He
Yeah.
wrestled in North Carolina once.
Yeah, one time.
And then it's also the 47th birthday of not just the coolest, not just the best,
But
just incredible.
Yep.
Aldo Montoya, if
Aldo
you're going back to
Montoya,
like 1995.
Portuguese Man of War.
Yes. And then I think the thing with that is they found out he was from he had some kind of Portuguese entrance. Like, you're a Portuguese man.
Yeah,
of war."
you're gonna be like a soccer player.
And then he wore a mask that looked like a jockstrap.
Yeah, so I'm a fish. Like, oh boy.
And then also Friday was the 22nd birthday of Zia Brookside. She's in WWE Developmental. Robbie Brookside's adopted daughter. Her 22nd birthday.
Mm.
Saturday, the 17th, was the 63rd birthday of one of the lesser Four Horsemen, I would say. Mongo, Steve McMichael,
boy,
63
Mongo.
years old.
Wow, still kicking. Good for Mongo.
And then
he got that Twitter that got popular last year. The Mongo, what was it called? Like Mongo doing crazy shit. It was just Mongo botching left and right.
I always think of Botchamania when they would have the thing from Blazing Saddles
Yeah.
where it's like I going, never mind that shit.
Yeah.
Here comes Mongo. That guy, the actor in that, is Dave Hiddleston. He was the Big Lebowski. He was the other Lebowski, not Jeff Bridges,
Okay.
but the Big Lebowski.
Who just got diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges got diagnosed with lymphoma, yeah.
Mm.
So Sunday, the 18th, that was the 61st birthday of a guy we might be talking about a little bit later tonight, John Nord, the Berserker. And it was...
How many flapjacks?
How
How
he
many
ate
flapjacks?
157 flapjacks.
Oh, watch.
Look up on YouTube
Yes.
the Yukon Lumberjacks promo.
Yeah,
It is awful.
You will love it because it's so bad. It's
He was sitting there,
Yeah.
bigger than life.
yeah. How many flapjacks did you eat? It's Berserker, John Nord, the Barbarian, whatever, not the Barbarian, Berserker.
Nord the Barbarian.
Yeah, Nord the
He was
Barbarian.
Nord the Barbarian.
And Scott Norton, who I don't know what name he's using. He was lumberjack gimmick.
Flapjack. He was called
Flapjack
Flapjack
Norton.
Norton. That's what they're talking
Yeah,
about it.
because they thought that would be world champion, and it is outrageous.
He has a great story. I think it was on a Botchamania. You can find this too. It's if you look up John Nord, Dusty. Apparently, the bigger guys back in the day would wad up toilet paper and insert it into their how do we put this delicately?
Oh, the muffler.
Into their the muffler. They would roll up toilet paper and stick it in their butt.
Yeah.
So any butt sweat and things like that wouldn't leak.
You put the muffler up in there, and then you don't get no swamp ass right there. So then your tats stay nice and clean with the muffler.
so John
That's
Nord's
true.
like just
Imagine
starting
the
out,
dingleberries.
and he's
Oh, my
wrestling Dusty. Yeah, exactly. So Dusty's putting his muffler in before the match. He's just wad up toilet paper. And this is a weird show this week.
Yeah.
He's jamming it
He
in
used
there.
a paper towel roll.
So they're wrestling, and one of the things that the John Nord has to do, he's got to pile drive Dusty, and he can't get him up. He can't get him up for the pile driver, and he's looking down at the curtain, and Vern Gagne's giving this death look, like, you better get that son of a bitch up. So he's like, I take one hand and I dig it into his left butt cheek, and I take my other hand and I dig it into the right butt cheek, and like, we're going up, and he pulls him up, and he gives him the pile driver. I guess he gave him a wedgie too. And he said he looks over and he sees this wad of paper, and it's like yellow and brown and red. And he looks over at Dusty and he goes, "Big John and my muffler fell out, baby."
Big Daddy,
Best story
muffler
ever.
fell
Oh.
Oh God.
As you were telling that story, I just imagined like it got wrung out like a squeegee.
Oh,
Oh,
because Dusty was a big guy, a big
yeah,
sweaty fat
fuck
guy.
that. Ugh. All right, what other
So
birthdays? do we have?
also
350 pounds of
birthdays.
blue-eyed soul.
and the Doden muffler.
Dusty's mufflers. They should have done that for those vignettes he was doing. It was like the American
the
Dream
working
Sausage
man,
Company,
yeah.
which got the WWF. Dusty's mufflers, baby.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. We have something that's made for us as a Dusty reference, calling us. They say we suck eggs.
Oh, okay.
We should say this podcast is about as useful as Dusty's dirty muffler.
Oh God. Dusty Rose,
So-
you suck eggs. Your mother sucks eggs. You son of a bitch.
So what should the title be for this episode? Is it going to be "Thank You, John Bobbitt" or "Dusty's muffler"?
We're gonna keep it Robinson High School for now, but it to be
You
determined.
get the AW one day, and Cody's like, "Do you ever part of a podcast that something about my dad's muffler?"
I
know
what
what
you're
you're
talking
talking about,
I know what
man.
you're talking about, man. Well,
That was that damn,
I was
that that
thinking.
damn Vin Gerard.
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking. I'm trying to do everything else my dad does. I may do a spot where my
Yeah,
muffler
yeah.
falls out.
Maybe he does use one. Who knows?
Bro, to leave my muffler fell out, baby.
Yeah.
Quick, get the blade. Cut me.
Well, he already wrestled. We can't.
All right.
So also having a birthday on the 18th was Simon Gotch. Simon Grimm now, 38 years old. Just wrestled on Bloodsport. He beat Matt Mikowski, as a matter of fact, from Camp Leapfrog in High Tension.
But there's a
Yeah.
guy who still looks good. Still got a lot of mileage left on him.
Yeah.
His tights on Bloodsport were awesome. Was some manga. There was a reference to some manga. I don't know which one it was. Like a horror manga.
Okay.
And then this past Monday was the 25th birthday of Toni Storm. Recently returned to NXT.
Yeah, looking great. She has new music
yeah.
because remember that CFO guy left and
Yep.
the music's not as good.
Yeah. Same with Ember Moon.
Yeah, that's why. I was like, oh, why they change it? Like, oh, the CFO guy left. They
Yeah.
don't want to pay royalties. I'm like, how petty? Just fucking buy the songs off of downright.
Ember Moon's music was so good.
And speaking of great comedy wrestlers, one of my favorite comedy wrestlers, one of my favorite Chikara wrestlers, turned 37 on Monday. R.D. Evans, better known than Chikara's Archibald Peck,
Yeah.
mixed martial Archie.
Yeah. Who then went on
He,
to write for WWE.
Yeah, he
Wow.
got fired because he wrote Brett's. Or no, he didn't get fired. He quit. He got. They always tell people when they do the Hall of Fame thing to not mention Vince McMahon.
Yeah, it's
And
so
when
dumb.
Brett was going in for the Hart Foundation, like R.D. Evans wrote a script and he had him thank Vince McMahon.
And that's what he was fired for?
Well, no, he didn't get fired. Vince was like flipping on him backstage, and he's like, "All right, peace out, I'm done."
Yeah.
He quit. Yeah, he didn't get fired. He quit.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
I think
So
I
petty.
don't know if he still is, but for a while he was working backstage with Impact.
That's like
But-
if this ever blows up, this podcast, and then you're like, hey, I want to thank Tony for
Yeah,
creating
no,
this.
no,
And I'm like,
don't
oh,
thank-
don't say my name. Like, fuck, dude, take
so
credit.
It's so
You created-
ridiculous.
You. I mean, he didn't create it. His dad
Yeah.
did. But like, you're helping running a business that's stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Take credit. You've helped people. You've changed people's lives.
Yeah. It's one of them weird
Good or bad.
Vince-isms.
You know what I mean? Like, it's stupid.
It is stupid.
Yeah, I loved Archibald Peck. His gimmick is he was a band leader,
Yeah.
like a high school marching band leader.
Conductor, yeah.
And he had the big marching band hat. And then after a while, he wanted to become a serious fighter, so he became mixed martial Archie.
Yeah.
And he was doing an MMA gimmick, and he would cut promos with his mouthpiece in, and it was hilarious.
And he did have a manager there for a while. She was like
Yeah, Veronica,
Majorette?
the Majorette.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think she wasn't long for the business, but yeah. So it was entertaining gimmick.
And then he wound up time traveling too.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he lost the Loser Leaves Town match, and he came back as the mysterious and handsome stranger, which is the Midnight Rider, basically.
yeah.
So yeah, and then he came back much later as the Latvian Proud Oak
No.
under a mask. Tuesday was the 50th birthday of Chavo Guerrero Jr. Chavo not classic,
Mm-hmm.
and also the 62nd birthday of a guy we mentioned a little bit earlier, Scott Hall. Yesterday,
There
the
you go.
21st, was the 76th birthday of Bushwhacker Butch.
No, Hongi. Remember that?
Honky!
Oh, the promos.
That's why I don't know. That's why I dig Otis because he reminds me so much of
Oh,
like
the Bushwhackers. I
the
can see that.
Bushwhackers.
They should have that where he's their son.
He always makes me think of Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah.
he's like Duggan,
Jim
Bushwhackers,
Duggan was a
and
better wrestler, especially before WWF.
yeah.
Bushwhackers, Duggan, and then he also like when they did Heavy Machinery, like when they were a team and wrestled a lot together, they were like Earthquake and Typhoon a little
Kind
bit
of,
too.
yeah. Except I'm
Mhm.
like, well, Tucker ain't really fat. Like,
No.
he's just
They're just
tall.
big dudes.
Yeah.
They're big dudes. I don't know. I'm into them. All right.
You into the big dudes, Tony?
I'm into the big dudes. I like big dudes. I'm
That's why I'm on the show.
I'm one myself. Yeah, I seen you. I fell in love, Brian.
So today, we're up to today here. Today is these are two people we actually saw when Impact came to PPW last November. Today is the 50th birthday of Impact producer D'Lo Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, he was up.
And
he was
it-
like.
You're
in the
looking
back.
at the real deal now.
Yeah, the champion of Europe, very very beloved in Europe.
Yeah.
Remember, he would
Trust
always, when he was European champion, he'd be introduced from a different European city every week.
Yeah.
And he didn't even really come
Maybe-
out at all. Like he just stayed behind the curtain.
He was
Yeah.
agenting, yeah.
Yeah.
He's more backstage there. He'll wrestle every now and then. And then also somebody that was super super nice to us. It is her 37th birthday, Taya Valkyrie.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know she was that old. She looks much younger.
Yeah, she was super cool. We walked up to her and I didn't realize who I was talking to at all. And then then it clicked. I was like, "Oh shit!
Yeah,
I'm
hey.
talking to like." I gave her a podcast
Yeah.
sticker. I was like, "Oh my god!" I just gave it to Taya Valkyrie, and I had no idea.
Maybe
And of
she-
course
maybe
also
she has that in her
Mrs.
fridge
John
right now.
Morrison.
Yeah. And then I think I gushed. I said, "I love your husband."
No. She's like, everybody does.
Yeah. I was like, "Your
She was fun though. Like they had a fun little match. It was a very character driven, but they had a fun little match. It was her and Tennille.
She.
Taste it tonight.
I'm not one to say I want someone to leave a company and go somewhere else, but she would be a mega star in AEW.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably have eyes on her.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like everyone in Impact.
But
Like,
do you
I'm sure
think-
they're happy, but
Do you
like,
think she goes to WWE though, because John's there?
maybe. I mean,
Like if she
but
becomes
I mean,
available.
that's not the. Everyone's like, oh, they're a couple. Adam Cole and Brittany or Britt.
Yeah.
So I guess she is Brittany.
Britt Baker, real quick, not to go back to AEW. Britt Baker looked great.
I
this
think
week.
so. Yeah,
She looked real good.
she's doing a lot of finishers there. I'm like, all right, we'll just pin her already.
Yeah. It was.
They gotta put the belt on Britt Baker.
Yeah.
They'll get there. And now the whole Tony
She's not.
Schiavone
She's
and
not super
Reba
exciting
thing.
in the ring,
No,
but-
she
but
got much better.
but she looks good.
Yeah.
This whole like really evil version of her,
Yeah.
I'm digging. And earlier, I go back to AEW as well. Eddie Kingston.
Oh yeah, his promos are great.
Some of the
Mhm.
best promos in a long, long time in
Mhm.
professional wrestling. Like he's just so
AEW
good.
does have some good promos right now,
Yeah.
aside
Like-
from the musical.
Yeah.
What do we call that? But the promos, like Moxie's promos, have been great, awesome. I think.
I
Yeah.
agree.
The
Yeah.
one at the bar I thought was phenomenal
Yeah, I
a few
thought
weeks
that,
ago.
Yeah, that was a very good promo.
The one that he did to counteract Eddie's this week was really good too.
Yeah.
Just, they're just so like I don't know, man. I'm digging.
And then when
this
Eddie
whole
was on commentary, that was pretty good. Everybody said he looked Blade, very good looking man. And it's like,
yeah. Oh, and then what's his name? They brought back. They just put the bunny back with him.
yeah, it did.
Well-
That
well,
was
yeah,
just,
for-
like
for a while-
AEW's stupid angle. She went with QT Marshall for no reason. Now she's just back with the Blade. and
Yeah.
she's the bunny again. It's like, okay.
Well, they did do the thing where like Eddie Kingston told him he's got to get his house in order, and I guess
Yeah.
that was like an allusion to that.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they did something on Dark. I don't really watch Dark, so who knows? But I'm like,
Yeah.
at least explain it. Do a little, give us 10 seconds. Oh, that's why she's back. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So
By the way, another guy Andy beat is on AW Dark this week, Vinny Pacifico.
Yeah, how about that?
yeah,
Son of a bitch.
that son of a bitch.
Yeah, another guy wrestled, but he had a different name there. He was one of the Bateria members. What was his name there?
Was he Cobalt? I think no, not Cobalt.
No, he's the other one. Odama, or what was their name? It was Cobalt, Kodama, and Oberian or something like that. I think he was Kodama.
Yeah.
They had they used to look like Glenn Danzig, but they had like black metal face paint, but it was bright neon yellow with black, and they had like cat eyes contacts. They looked really cool. I
Mhm.
wrestled them before. Wrestled all three of them.
All right,
So-
let's get into 2020 WWE Hell in a Cell. Now, obviously, this is all subject to change because there's still SmackDown this week.
Mhm.
There's
without
also a very incomplete card right now.
Very-
There's
yeah.
4 matches.
it. So,
But hey, we have been having 2.5-hour pay-per-views, which are nice.
yeah, I do like
Get
a lot
in, get
better.
out.
And they have been better too. The
Yeah.
match quality
Well,
has been
someone
better.
made a good point on podcast. Like, the Raws and SmackDowns usually suck because it's all the writers, but the pay-per-views are just kind of left up to the wrestlers. It's just like, okay, have a match. So it's
Exactly.
like, you know.
It really goes to show that they do have one of the best rosters
Yeah, they
in the
do.
world.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
they just can't get the weekly shows down. Yeah.
Hey, you can have all the best tools in the world, but you don't know how to use them. What good is it?
Yep. Roman Reigns, the champion, takes on Jey Uso in Hell in a Cell I Quit match. First ever done.
Yeah.
This is their second match now. The first one, Jey Uso had to get the towel thrown in because
Mhm.
Roman was beating him so bad. And it's pretty much he wants to be considered the tribal chief, and Jey Uso refuses to say it to him. So now he's going to make him verbally say, I quit.
Okay.
And
By the
Hell
way,
in a
it
Cell.
was Kodama. I just looked it up.
Okay.
Louis Valley's his name now, but it was
Yes.
Kodama.
Yes.
This I mean, leading up to this, for me, I mean, you guys could add to it, but I think Roman as heel has been unbelievable. It's way
Yeah.
more intriguing than
That
because the
good
whole time
guy
he
Roman.
acted like a good guy. He was a good guy, but he was very not very heelish, but he always had the scowl and the
Yeah,
you know
he
what I
would
mean?
do like heel type things.
yeah.
As much as they pushed him as a babyface, he never had the presence that he has now.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's so much, and I think
It'll be
putting him with
interesting to
Paul
see what
Heyman has been amazing.
Yeah, with crowds. But
Yeah.
I think he's gonna get cheered because of. But I don't know,
'Cause
maybe
people-
people will play along though. Like, oh yeah, you son of a bitch. Like when Ciampa was bad. Like, oh boo.
Yeah.
But your match is really good.
But this angle has been really fun.
Yeah. I think he's gonna beat him up, but it's gonna be more back and forth. But it will still be kind of more Roman. But,
Who do you think the
what
next
the
person
other
to
Uso
come
will
out,
come out?
and pretty much say like, oh, I'm the tribal chief, and like eventually this is going to lead to the
Rikishi.
Rock, right? Like
Yeah,
yeah.
Rikishi. And then Roman,
think.
because Rikishi can't wrestle, so Roman would just like pop him
Or
off
like
chair
the
or something.
one of the grandfathers comes
Well,
out.
Alpha's still alive, right?
Yeah. Alpha
I
comes-
believe so.
Alpha
Yeah,
comes down. and
Samu, but he was recovering from cancer, or
Cancer.
something. Yeah, so I don't.
Tonga
think,
Kid.
yeah,
Tonga Kid.
Tonga, I don't think you'll see Samu. I mean, maybe. You never know.
Yeah. It would be
Maybe
interesting.
they bring up Lance and Roman beats up Lance.
Maybe.
How
Shane
about
did
how
already.
about Chief Goldberg?
Yeah.
Chief Goldberg? That's the rumor. They said they're bringing back Goldberg. I hope Roman squashes
Yeah,
him.
me too. I don't want to see it, but
Yeah, I don't think he's going to beat Roman.
Brian, do your
They-
fantasy your booking here.
Wait, what?
Do your fantasy booking you had in the chat. Double spear.
Oh yeah. Double spear. You have Roman against Goldberg. They're both known for their spears. The best Goldberg spear ever was when he speared Bret Hart, and Bret Hart had a metal plate under his shirt
Yeah.
or under his hockey sweater. And so yeah, they both spear each other. They knock into each other. They're both out. And then here comes Otis with the Money in the Bank.
does Grand Loco whatever fat come? Wait, why does he have money in the bank? He didn't win it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how they'll get it off him.
Yeah.
El Gordo Loco comes out with the
And it
Money
doesn't
Bank-
count because he
and it's
doesn't
like,
cash it.
don't count, but you used it, so now it's
And then-
gone. And they get out of that predicament they're in.
And then you look through the history of WWE champions, and you have Hulk Hogan and Buddy Rogers and Bruno Sammartino and Otis.
Yeah.
It's gonna be amazing.
Put the picture of him.
Like you don't need Roman to have a title at WrestleMania to wrestle The Rock.
No, but Vince probably thinks you do.
But all right.
Oh, if they did do this, Otis would be losing the title right back to Roman in the next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Or maybe Big E. Maybe
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
maybe
If
Otis
you
wins the
can't
Money
do
in
the
the
Rock,
Bank.
I would have Big E win the Rumble and challenge Roman at Mania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
You kind of put Roman in the big Starkey main event that doesn't need a title. He's main eventing WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Well,
it
as a
depends,
champion
yeah.
or not as a
Let's
champion.
see what Ronda, because
Yeah.
what they said, Becky was backstage, but she's due December or November,
Yeah.
and Vince wants her
December, I
back in
think.
January. It's like, whoa, Vince, maybe that's a little.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah.
But get her back in January and they get Ronda.
you don't need her back right away. The women's division is just fine.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's just fine, but
It can be if they use
yeah.
the right people.
yeah, if they use more, yeah.
If Shayna
No, I
Baszler
guess
sitting there,
she's
you
going to
have-
be going to SmackDown since Seth's on there.
Yeah, you would assume,
Yeah.
and then Ronda Raw,
Yeah.
right? Or yeah, no, that Ronda has to go to SmackDown because Vince wants Raw, a solo Ronda versus Becky storyline.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know. Yeah. Otis wins when Otis cashes in, and then he's a transitional champion to get like the next big face or the big
Yeah.
like superstar push, like of a Big E or a who else would be on SmackDown that
But
would
no,
be
they're on Raw now.
like oh yeah on Raw. I'm just trying to think of a. Oh, no,
No,
it
Otis is
is
still on
SmackDown.
SmackDown.
It's
oh
still
yeah,
SmackDown,
Otis, that's right. Yeah. Otis
That's
is
why I had to
now
wear the
Raw,
mask
yeah,
'cause he's
okay,
on
yeah,
SmackDown.
Yeah,
Kevin Owens.
Oh, Grant Gordo was on Raw.
yeah.
Kevin Owens on SmackDown. Maybe.
Juan Cena.
Yeah.
If you think it's going to be Otis, it would be a heel. It would be
Yeah.
a heel.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how they finally put the title on Corbin. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe they
I wouldn't want it, but
push Nakamura. There, let him get a title before he goes back to Japan.
Yeah. All right, our next match here: Drew McIntyre, the champion, takes on Randy Orton in a Hell in a Cell. So McIntyre's first time stepping into Hell in a Cell. Randy Orton is not a spring chicken to Hell in a Cell matches. Is this where Randy Orton becomes what, 14?
I thought he was gonna win last time.
I thought he was going to win both times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know. They
Will
might
this-
just
will this
keep-
be
Now,
his
now I
14th?
think maybe Drew hangs on to it for a
I
while.
think they might. What is it in Hell in a Cell or title?
No, title.
I think it's more than that.
It'll be 14th
I
or
don't know,
15th.
somewhere up there.
He's like 2 or 3 away from 16.
Yeah. I think they might just leave it on Drew until crowds come back.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Drew's been doing fantastic with the belt.
Because that way they kind of like, they say, oh, let's see how he does now with actual people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put him in a program with AJ now, and then
Yeah.
I don't know what your big plan would be. Maybe him and Bray at Mania or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Then we have the Women's Championship in a Hell in a Cell. Bailey versus Sasha Banks.
But they had their one. Oh no, was it Sasha versus
Charlotte.
Becky?
Charlotte.
Oh yeah, was that the Hell in
That
a
was
Cell?
the first Women's Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
Wasn't there a Becky one?
Becky wrestled
Sasha. Becky
Sasha.
versus Sasha.
In
That
Hell
was
in
the
a Cell.
second one.
Okay, that was good.
Yeah.
That was one with all the weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sasha. I don't want it to be, but I think Sasha takes the title here.
Yeah, it's time.
Bailey is just under Fabulous Moolah for most combined days as women's champion.
Yeah, I would
And
have.
Charlotte is like right below her though by 4 days. So
I would
well,
have. I
Charlotte's
would
not
have.
gonna
I would have
beat
Bailey lose and let her go take a vacation.
No, if she wants.
Go away for a couple months. Go away for a couple months. Let Sasha reign, because that's a problem. That someone loses a title.
They should have put one on Raw, one on SmackDown.
Yeah. Well, you have 2 horsewomen on SmackDown, and
Well-
now possibly 3 if
There's no way that you're not gonna get all 4 in one show.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're gonna have 3, and then Charlotte on Raw.
When Charlotte comes back.
Yeah. So.
But the thing with that is, SmackDown might have they might have a lot of like the big stars, assuming Becky goes there, but they don't have a lot of depth. They have I think 5 women on SmackDown right now.
Yeah.
Then maybe Mickie James goes there too.
Yeah.
Then you have Jeff Hardy versus Elias. That's a pre-show.
I'd rather see what's there to eat.
You'll probably have somehow a Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins versus Buddy Murphy match.
Enough with that storyline.
Yeah, hopefully this is the blow off. You're gonna have a possible Kevin Owens Aleister Black match.
That could be a good.
You
match.
would think. Yeah, give them time. Give them some time. They could do something great.
Here's my question: after McIntyre beats the Randy, does the Fiend show up?
I don't know,
Possibly.
because it's like, well, the Fiend just single-handedly beat up Retribution. So do they feud with them? Like, what do you?
No, I just think that was just to put him over, just to be
Maybe. But, like-
show up on Raw, come out, look strong.
You know what that felt like? We're abandoning the Retribution gimmick, which I wish it
Yeah,
was.
it felt like they're just burying Retribution
Yeah,
to me,
and then,
especially
like-
because they lost clean.
Yeah, like if they didn't do that promo with Mustafa Ali, which I don't think they should have did, then it would be like, you know what? That never happened.
Yeah.
Like Raw Underground, it never happened.
I don't-
Let's not talk
I
about
don't-
it ever again.
I don't really mind. I was telling you guys off camera. I don't really mind Retribution. I mean, I know it's super corny, but I kind of like it because it is corny. Like the masks and the corny names and the little stable. Like I'm kind
I
of
just
into
don't
it.
like the whole. We're coming to destroy this thing. Oh, really? Well,
The way they've
here's
been-
a job.
Yeah, the way they've been put together has been atrocious.
Yeah.
But like seeing, I thoroughly enjoyed the Hurt Business match with them. I really like the Hurt Business too.
I like them. Yeah.
Where like they're heels, but they're still like they're like doing the right thing when it comes to
Yeah.
like protecting the company. And they beat the shit out of Titus.
Yeah. But like the thing is, like, I made it on one podcast. I don't know which one it was. They made a good point. Like, remember in the '90s there was like jobber stables, so maybe they're just a job stable,
Yeah.
like the Truth Commission
Absolutely.
or the Oddities.
Yeah, maybe just kind of break
It's
it
a,
up.
it's a low to mid card at best stable.
I agree. All right, that'll do it for Hell in a Cell. We will
Real
be doing.
quick.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention Impact has paper this weekend too. Bound for Glory. I'm just going to run through the matches really quick, really quick here. You have a gauntlet, which is their kind of a Royal Rumble. It's AC Romero, Alicia Edwards, Cody Deaner, so it's intergender.
Ooh.
Cody Deaner, Brian Myers, Jessica Havoc, Heath Hernandez, Larry D, who's another big guy, AC's partner, Rhino, Taya, Tennille Dashwood, Tommy Dreamer, and a mystery entrant.
Right here.
If
I'm going.
Andy Header.
I'm going in.
if Heath or Rhino wins, Heath gets a contract because he doesn't have a contract. If neither of them win, Rhino is fired because they're partners, Heath and Rhino. And then if anybody else wins, they get to get a championship match of their choice.
Yeah, some weird TNA rules.
Yeah,
Feast or fire.
it's really quite simple.
Yeah.
Then you have Eddie Edwards against Ken Shamrock, EC3 against Moose, The 6-way intergender scramble match for the X Division title. Rohit Raju against Chris Bay, Jordan Grace, TJP, Trey Miguel, and Willie Mack.
That's a pretty good one.
This will be a good one, too. 4-way tag match for the tag titles. You have the Motor City Machine Guns defending against the Good Brothers, the North, and Ace Austin and Madman Fulton.
Cool.
For the Knockouts title, you have Deanna Parazzo against Kylie Ray.
Deanna Parazzo, who just signed a multi-year contract deal, so that might tell you who might win that one.
Yeah.
Probably. And then in your main event, Eric Young defends the Impact title against Rich Swann.
Should be a good show. They need to get some audience.
Yeah.
They're going to need to do something. But one thing that Impact has and nobody else, they promote intergender wrestling. So that is the one thing they do have.
Yeah. And if you do want to play along this weekend, digital.pro-wrestling scorecards, or just go to pro-wrestling-scorecards.com, print out your scorecard and play along with us. We will be starting this Hell in a Cell too, the threads. So make sure if you want to.
And I'm sure the Impact one's up there too, right?
Yeah. So we'll play along. We'll have a good time here, and come watch some professional wrestling with us. All right. So this week's topic, the home run hitter right here. This may get broken up into two parts. We are at about an hour 14. I'm not really stressed for time, so let's have some fun with it here. But this is going to take place in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah,
Oh,
Minnesota.
oh, yeah.
Robbinsdale, Minnesota. So this high school that we're going to talk about is no longer around.
Oh.
It was Robbinsdale High School, and it was closed in I think 89. But then it was then it converted to a new building, and it's now Robbinsdale Cooper High School building.
I think it's a middle school now.
No, it's still a high school, but it's
Oh,
the Cooper
okay.
the Cooper High School building. I think it's a different building. I don't know the history of the school. I was trying to look it up as you were talking, but I really couldn't find anything.
I
really-
think the actual building that the other school was in is a middle school now.
Oh, they converted that to the middle school and then built a new high
Yeah,
school.
I think that's what happened. Yeah.
Just to give you a little bit of background of this school, just to kind of give you a little perspective. This school, last year alone, their number of students in their building was 1,717.
Okay.
So
it's a pretty
very
big school.
similar to like a school county
Yeah,
school.
Yeah. More like Pottsville, because Myersville, like that graduating class would be like 120, if that.
Yeah. So that's total students. That's not graduating.
Oh,
students.
total. Oh, geez. I
Yeah.
think been graduating.
No,
total.
it's a
and then-
number
then
of
it is a
students
small
from
school.
1,717 students. It was founded in 1964. All this stuff I don't know if it's still the same back then, but they're orange and blue, and they are the Hawks, the Cooper Hawks.
I
So-
believe they're the Robins back then. And
Okay.
this Robbinsdale High we're talking about, they opened in 1936.
Yes.
Oh.
So, and it's like I said, it's a little tiny town there in. I was trying to find a little bit of town history to see if any.
Suburb. I think it's the suburbs of the Twin Cities there, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah, total square area is 2.9 square miles.
The town?
Yeah, it's not big at all. Minnesota State Highway 100 and Country Road 81 are the two main routes to the
81,
city.
baby.
Yep.
You hop on right up here. We could walk to 81 right now.
Yeah. It would take us a little bit, but
Yeah.
we'd get there. Yeah. So it's like I said, a very, very little tiny town with a little tiny
But with
school,
a lot of history.
but with
Yeah.
a lot of history, a lot of pro wrestling history, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Is the history of the former high school of Robbinsdale and some pretty big names that came out of there.
And if you're talking about Minnesota wrestling, you got to talk about one person. It's Vern Gagne. He is Vern, the champ.
Yeah.
He is Minnesota wrestling. He and just give you a background on Vern. He was a star football, but he was in the class of 1943. He started in Robbinsdale High in 1940 or graduated in 1943.
Imagine.
Played football and wrestled there. He was named to the All Big Ten team in football and won 2 NCAA wrestling titles at the University of Minnesota. And he almost went to the Olympics, but this was still when they had like wrestling things at carnivals. This is how pro wrestling started. You would have people that would be in the carnival and they would challenge anybody in the crowd. And sometimes it was worse. Sometimes it would be, oh, they're just going to hook the guy in a hold and beat them. But he would wrestle at carnivals and make money doing that. So his eligibility for the Olympics, because you had to be an amateur back then, it was thrown into question.
Yeah.
So no Olympics for Vern in wrestling, but he was drafted by the Chicago Bears with the 145th pick in the NFL draft in 1947.
What position
And
did he play?
I'm not sure.
Shooter.
I'll look that up while you keep
It's
going.
weird. Like, I always look at Vern. I'm like, why do people cheer him? Like, I don't get it.
If you ever watched some of his old matches, oh
moved
my
good,
God, is
yeah.
he good? Oh, the technical wrestling he would do, like the mat wrestling he would do, was out of this world. And so he was drafted by the Bears, and George Halas was the guy who owned the Bears. He's the founder of the Bears. And the Bears had Bronco Nagurski, who was
What a
a
name.
world champ.
He played.
Yeah.
He played
should've
both.
wrestled.
He played both sides of the ball.
Ooh.
For University of Minnesota, for the Golden Golfers football team in 1943, and he played both defensive end and tight end.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what he played
And-
for the Bears though. Like I don't know where he was drafted. I mean, at that time you were probably still playing both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I think they did a lot of, because Chuck Bednarik was in the 60s, and he was like the last of the two-way players until like Deion Sanders and
Yeah.
Bo
like people like
Jackson.
that later. And Andy, you said Bronco Nagurski should have wrestled. He did.
Oh, wow. With a name like that.
He won the not the National Wrestling Alliance World title, but the National Wrestling Association World title one before that, the one that like Frank Gotch and George Hackenschmidt and those
Okay.
guys had. So yeah, Bronco Nagurski was a wrestler, but George Halas didn't like that he wrestled, but I guess he couldn't stop him. They didn't have like ironclad contracts back then. So he basically told Vern Gagne, you can either wrestle or you can play football. And Vern's like, I'm going to wrestle. And he was a success. He won the NWA Junior Heavyweight title in November of 1950, the Chicago version of the U.S. title in 1953. And this is when the early 50s is a big boom period for wrestling, because this is when TV is starting, and TV is getting more and more commonplace. More and more people are getting TVs. And wrestling was huge on TV in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Huge. And
Real quick,
there was a
Brian,
network-
He
Uh-huh.
also had a small stint with the. Hold on. So he was with the Bears. He was battling between the ropes.
The Bears.
And he did
Stop,
have.
Bears.
Stop Bears.
He had a salary dispute, and he was unwillingness to drop the wrestling gimmick, and he had changed teams, and then went to the Green Bay Packers for a while.
Oh.
Yep.
No Vikings. That's maybe the Vikings weren't around back then.
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
He was a Chiefs head.
Yeah.
But there was some. All right, so here we go. So the Green Bay Packers signed him in '49, while Gagne played 3 exhibition
In
games for the Bears
49.
rival. A debate raged on whether the Bears or the Packers owned the rights to the young player, and in the end, it didn't matter. LeBar released Gagne.
It's like Lincoln Park.
Yeah, Lambeau. Lambeau was released by Gagne, and the Minnesota native then left football for good. So he went to Green Bay, played 3 exhibition games, and the Bears were like, "Well, we got rid of him because he refused to drop wrestling, and we still own the rights to him, so you guys can't use him in regular season." So then the Green Bay's like, "Well, this is too much of a headache," and they just let him go.
It's funny. But it worked out for Vern. It definitely worked out for Vern. He was on the Dumont Network. The Chicago territory was on the Dumont Network, which was basically, I think, the forerunner to ABC. It didn't last that long. But he was a huge star and known nationwide. It's rumored that in 1953, he was making about $100,000 a year, which in today's money would be just a little under $1 million. And the big thing was, back then, it was very hard to be the world champion if you weren't Luthez.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was kind of making noise. He wanted to be the champion. Didn't happen. So he's like, well, I'm going to start my own territory. So he teamed up with this promoter in Minnesota area, Wally Carbo, and they formed their own company independent of the NWA, the American Wrestling Association, the AWA, which lasted into the 90s. And he would go on to be the 10-time AWA champion, and he would retire as champion. But he did come back for like a few matches after that. And so, yeah, I mean, if you remember the 80s, it was the big 3. It was the AWA, the NWA, and then the WWF. And they were certainly right there with them for a while. He made a movie with Ed Asner called The Wrestler.
Yeah, not the one.
Not the Mickey Rourke movie. And I think he bankrolled that movie too. And what really did him in was like having trouble changing with the times. He was very old school, and he was really, really hard hit by Vince's expansion and Vince going national. Because one of the big stars in the AWA in the early 80s was Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went with Vince. Bobby Heenan was a big star there. He went with Vince.
Mean Gene.
Jesse Ventura, Mean Gene, Rick Martel, Shawn Michaels, Mr. Perfect. the list goes on. Like, they got ravaged
Yeah.
by the raids
he
from the
did get-
AWA.
Sergeant Slaughter when he had the GI Joe contract, but then he
Yeah.
went back to WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, by the end it was like Sergeant Slaughter, Larry Zbyszko, Mr. Saito. They were like your big stars
Yeah.
there. And he was also Vern Gagne is one of the most prolific trainers of all time too. Trained the Iron Sheik, who was another Olympic level wrestler. And the Sheik, there's always this rumor, and I think the Sheik has said this, that Gagne offered him, I think it was $100,000 to break Hulk Hogan's
To
leg
break
and
that
shoot on him.
jabroni Hulk Hogan's leg.
I had them in the camouflage in
But
Madison Square
I said,
Garden.
Mr. McMahon has been good to me. I know break his leg because Vince McMahon be good to me.
We shared our cocaine.
Yeah, that was a different interview.
Vince was rumored to have said that he would always brag that he could do coke all day and never get hooked.
Yeah. But I guess
So,
if you did it
yeah.
all day, every day, you would be hooked.
Yeah.
Well, if I wanted to hook you, you'd be hooked.
Well, to be fair, he didn't like cocaine. He just liked the way it smelled.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just liked the way it smelled. Go ahead.
You got a message.
I'm betting that's really that's good shit. First, they're like, that's good shit.
God damn it. Especially in the 80s.
It's like that meme with Vince where first time he tried coke, second time, and
Yeah.
the third time he's like falls off his chair.
With Stacy Keibler's legs on him.
So yeah, it was like most of the especially the late '80s, it was getting really bad for the AWA, and by 1991 they were closing up shop, and Vern declared bankruptcy. Easy for me to say, and his legacy is second to none almost. He's one of the few people that is in the AWA Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame, the WCW Hall of Fame, the Thez Tragos Hall of Fame, the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, and the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Any Hall of Fame for wrestling, Vern Gagne is in there.
And if you want, I was gonna say, if you want more info on AWA, just go to the network. They have the documentary for AWA. It's
Yeah.
very good.
And
A lot of shows. Too.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
while he was doing this, he was also still funding the wrestling program at his high school and helping with that
Oh,
too.
wow.
I believe, right?
Yeah, at that high school, a lot of different colleges, he would sponsor wrestlers. He was very involved in. He would have amateur wrestlers on the show because they were very very strict with kayfabe, especially until the end. They got a little goofy with we were talking about the Yukon Lumberjacks, and you had the turkey pole on the pole match, where the biggest jobber in the company, Jake the Milkman Milliman, won it and won the team challenge series for his team.
It's also when they won that. Oh no, that was UWF that had the jobber, Davey the Observer Meltzer.
Yeah, that was Herb Abrams.
Yeah.
That was the Herb Abrams UWF. They had some jobbers that wound up doing stuff. I think Jake Milliman did stuff with WWF. Tom Stone, if you remember Tom Stone from the late '80s, he would always wrestle a lot for WWF. Buck Zumoff, but he wasn't really a jobber there. And he was also a horrible person.
Yeah, I was gonna say the book got canceled.
Oh, he's also in prison.
Yeah, and he's old too. He's gonna die in prison.
And sadly, with Vern, his last years, they were marked with a battle with Alzheimer's disease and dementia. It's believed they might have also had undiagnosed CTE. He was living in the memory loss section of an elder care, a nursing home, basically in Minnesota, and he got into a fight with another guy there, Hemmett Gutman. He was 97 years old, this guy, and Vern pushed him and threw him to the floor and wrenched his back, broke his hip, and the guy wound up dying.
Holy crap!
Yeah. But I mean, they didn't press charges because he didn't even know what he was doing. Nobody, neither guy remembered it happened right after it happened.
Had that
And then
been the '60s, that would have been a big Nazi gimmick that Hemmett would have had, their helmet.
Yeah.
And Vern would have been beating the Nazi.
Yeah.
He would have been Baron von Gutman.
Yeah, Vern Gutman.
He would have teamed with Rashke.
Come out with
Could
the
you
monocle.
imagine you get a phone call, you're the helmet family, and you're
Yeah.
like, your grandfather, he just got beat up.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
He's
I'm
dead,
like-
yeah, and then nursing home by one of the workers? No, by one of the other residents.
And they're like, well, because here's the thing, if you're from that town, obviously 1,000 kids, almost 2,000 kids go to school there, so it's not a big town. So I'm sure you know Vern Gagne, or
Yeah.
he's probably put your area on the map. You know what I mean?
Vern
And you're like,
Gagne.
Vern Gagne beat up my grandfather and killed it, beat him up in the nursing home. You're like,
There's a good percentage person's probably all right.
yeah, listen, if my dad was put in a nursing home tomorrow, right?
And
they're
Hogan beats
and
him
and
up.
my Hulk Hogan murders him in
Yeah.
a dementia rage. I'd be like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Call it what it is. It is.
I'd be like, Dad, you took one for
Yeah.
the team, brother.
Ric Flair
Eh.
chopped my dad to death in the nursing home.
Listen,
No, Ric Flair's in the mental hospital.
Yeah.
yeah, we're
Woo, woo, woo. You want to
once
watch
again,
that? Late 2000
not-
WCW.
he actually helped train Flair too, Vern Gagne.
Mhm.
He was part
Yeah,
of his.
that's what we're going to be talking about next here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He would do every year. They would have a training class with AWA, and it would be in a barn. Vern had a barn in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and they would do the old school wrestling thing. It would be in the dead of winter in Minnesota. They would work out outside. They would run people around for 6 hours, make them do 1,000 push-ups, that exercise until they throw up, and then they would put him in the ring with Billy Robinson, and Billy Robinson would twist him into a pretzel.
Yeah. Which is
Billy
like,
Robinson is a legendary
Yeah.
shoot wrestler.
it's like, yeah, that will toughen you up, but you learn zero about professional wrestling doing that.
Yeah.
Well, they would do that for the first few days. You'd be like, okay, you made it. Now
Yeah.
now
Well, back
we
in
start.
the day, it was, they wanted to really protect.
The
From
business.
Yeah, they're trying
anybody
to
getting in.
weed out people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is good because I know there's a lot of yahoos in now. right
Mhm.
now.
I mean, one of the worst is Hogan. Like the first time I went to go train, Hiro Matsuda
Yeah,
broke
bro,
his leg
yeah.
on purpose.
Ooh.
That was in like California, Florida, I think.
Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the most famous graduating class of this Vern Gagne school was 1972. I believe Greg Gagne, his son, who we're going to be talking about, who was class of 1967 at Robbinsdale High, he was in there. The most famous person, though, the adopted son of an OBGYN who lettered in track, wrestling, and football. Not at Robbinsdale High, though. And that would be Ric Flair.
Woo!
And the other one in there, we talked about him earlier, nearly an Olympian. He didn't make the Olympics, but very famous Greco-Roman wrestler, fled his home country after political upheaval and became an assistant coach for Team USA
Sheiky
in the
baby.
1972 Olympics.
Sheiky baby.
Khosrow Vaziri, yeah, cheeky baby.
Mhm. You break
And
your
there's,
back and make
there's
you
another
humble.
guy. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I said he'll break your back and make you humble.
Yeah, he'll certainly do it, especially if you're not if you're
Beat
Jim
Brian-
Brunzella.
Beat
but
Brian
if you're the
Blair.
You
He's
cunt
amazing
son
on
of a
Howard
bitch.
Stern. We can't say
So,
anything he says on that show
yeah.
though, because we'll get turned off immediately.
Yeah. There's another guy who was in the Olympics in that training class. He was a weightlifter and he won a gold medal in weightlifting at the Pan American Games.
Mm.
He was third in the 1977 World's Strongest Man competition. And he was the second ever WWF Intercontinental Champion.
Ooh.
Ken
That.
Patera in
Patera,
that
yeah.
training class.
How about that?
And then you had
I just read this name and immediately went. I thought it was a TV show name.
no, it's not Bob's Burgers. It's Bob Bruggers. He was a
Bob's-
football player for the Miami
Bob
Dolphins.
Bruggers.
His career was cut short in the same plane crash. He was in the same plane crash that Ric Flair was in.
Hmm.
And
And
he passed away
and-
and Flair survived.
I don't know if I think he just had a career-ending injury. Somebody died in that crash, but I forget who it was.
Jesus.
Because it was Flair, it was David Crockett.
Speaking of just real quick, speaking of weird, and this is not wrestling related, but the Leonard Skinner plane crash,
Mhm.
where like everybody died except like two people, and the
Yeah.
guy crawled on his hands and knees to find someone to help him.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a rock story right there.
Go ahead.
And we just talked about this guy too. Jim Brunzell was in this
Jumping
training class
Jim,
too.
Yeah.
And Jim Brunzell's longtime tag partner, Greg Gagne, as we said, Vern's son Greg, was in this training class too.
Greg was always, he looked little back then, but now he'd probably be pretty tall.
Huge.
But he's
He'd be-
skinny. But he's probably
he was very
6'2"
skinny.
or 6'3".
Yeah.
Like people would always give a shit, like, oh, Greg Gagne sucks. But on the scale of like wrestlers' kids from that time, like I mean, the worst is probably George Goulas. He almost killed the Memphis territory. David Sammartino was legendarily bad,
Eric Watts.
but Eric Watts. Greg Gagne wasn't horrible.
No.
He wasn't Vern. He wasn't like a superstar, but he wasn't horrible.
Yeah. You get to imagine though the competition back then too,
Mhm.
which is unbelievable.
And there's probably resentment, like, oh, he's only getting a push because of his dad, and it might be true, but
Yeah.
the big thing he was known for was him and Brunzell were a tag team forever. They were called the High Flyers, and back then the High Flyer was like somebody did a flying body press off the second
Yeah.
rope.
Whoa.
That was high flying. So So they were the AWA Tag Team Champions a few times. The first time they had it for a little over a year, and they had to vacate the titles because Brunzell got hurt in a charity softball game.
Jeez.
Wonder if Sid was
Played
there.
against Sid.
Yeah.
That's the 78. And then they had a second run. It was almost 2 years. They were tag champs for almost 2 years. They
Wow.
beat the East-West Connection, Adrian Adonis and Jesse Ventura. And they were named the Tag Team of the Year for 1982 in Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And then in 2003, they did the top 100 tag teams of the PWI years. And they were 49th, and Greg Gagne was 169th for singles wrestlers.
Oh, wow. Speaking of this year, they're doing a PWI top 100 tag teams.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah.
My female top
I
50.
think that's not enough, though.
My top 50 or top 100 female
Is
edition
that-
should be coming.
Oh,
in
yeah,
soon.
that'll be cool.
Yeah.
We'll do an episode on that.
Yeah.
So then the other thing that Greg did that was kind of notable, obviously we all know how much I love Bobby Heenan. And one of Bobby Heenan's nicknames came from a feud with Greg Gagne in the 80s. They had weasel suit matches because Greg would always call him the weasel instead of the brain. So they had a match where if you got beat, you had to wear a weasel suit, and they'd always do a thing because the Gagnes, their big move was the Gagne sleeper. That was their big finish. And they would always beat people with the sleeper, Vern and Greg. So they would put Bobby Heenan in the Gagne sleeper. He would be out while he was out and unconscious. They would put the weasel suit on him, and he would wake up and be all dazed, and he would look down at his hands, and there would be weasel paws, and he would freak out, like, how did this happen? And he would get up, and he would see he has a tail, and he would run around trying to chase his tail, and he would
Yeah.
fall down.
And he brought
Just-
that then
just fun
to
stuff.
against the Warrior. Then he brought that gimmick.
Yeah,
over.
yeah, they did that with the Warrior in WWF. And Greg didn't wrestle much outside of the AWA. He did have there was a very famous card on at Shea Stadium in 1980 where you had Andre beating Hulk Hogan. That was when Hulk was a heel, and he was managed by Freddie Blassie. And the big match on that was Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko in a cage match. But on the undercard there, Greg Gagne beat Quick Draw Rick McGraw.
That's a
A
name.
nice rhyming name.
Yeah.
I hope he was a cowboy, 6-shooter. His finisher should have been called the
He was a
6-shooter.
magician.
Yeah. Construction worker.
He was a construction worker. He had the quickest nail gun in the West. He was a carpenter. He could put
He's an artist.
He could put
He would do
drywall
like
up.
he was those guys that draws like those caricatures.
Yeah.
But he could do it very
He
quickly.
was a quick. Yeah. I was
Quick
like, where's he
draw.
going with that? I'm sorry, I'm out of it today.
He's a character.
Not 100%.
So Greg left wrestling pretty much when the AWA closed. He was a car salesman for a bit, and he worked for WWE for a little bit. Once they kind of made nice with the Gagnes, and they put Vern in the Hall of Fame around 2005, 2006. They brought in Greg as an agent, and he was a trainer in OVW for a bit, but it didn't last too long.
Yeah, they got him to be on a lot of DVDs talking about the old guys and stuff. So
yeah.
And another guy from back in the day that went to Robbinsdale High, he was a class in 1960, was Mean Gene Okerlund.
ooh, I can't do Mean Gene.
I think for me, as a kid growing up, Mean Gene was just as important to pro wrestling to me as anyone who stepped in between the ropes.
Yeah, 'cause he was there for all the big promos.
Yeah.
He was so good at his job.
Yeah.
So good at
Being a
his
straight
job.
man.
I
Hulk
still.
Hogan, you mean to tell me there's 2 universes?
Yeah.
Oh,
I would to this day, if someone's like a brand new wrestling fan, or we're talking about wrestling, or I'm turning somebody on to wrestling, I still put on the video on YouTube of Mean Gene's outtakes.
fuck it.
Come here.
That is my 2-word Mean Gene impression.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I like the one.
Put
where-
that cigarette out.
yeah, I like the. Yeah, he would be hitting a cigarette, and then they had like the little graphic come up. It says little mean tiny dick Okerlund. You get that off that
Yeah.
screen right now. But when the Sheik grabs the turkey out of the cage,
Yeah.
he goes, "I grabbed this fucking turkey," and he's choking. And Mean Gene just fucking breaks. He loses. He walks
Ah.
off screen. Just like the outtakes of Mean. You could just tell he was just. I don't think there was. I don't know. I don't know too much history of Mean Gene, but it looked like there was no one had a bad word to say about
I think
him.
everyone liked Mean Gene.
Yeah.
Liked his ladies
Like-
and liked his drinks. So like, let's go get a few cocktails. You know,
Yeah.
Like his hamburgers too. He had
Yeah.
Mean Gene
Oh,
burgers.
yeah,
That
they
was he had a burger chain.
I want to make. You know, if I get my millions, I'm gonna make the Mean Gene burgers again.
Yeah.
But now it's Gene Belcher, so you know.
Just the like I
I'm
said,
gonna reopen Pasta Mania.
Oh, I would love. I would love that.
just
Now,
a-
if I were to reopen a place like that, it would be Abdul the Butcher's House of Ribs
Yeah,
and
there-
Chinese
there you
food
go,
because
that'd
that
be-
sounds great.
It
Yeah.
does.
hold the hep C.
Yeah. Other than that,
Yeah,
that's-
so-
I mean, the food.
Yeah. Yeah, Mean Gene, like I said, he is at times bigger than any superstar that stepped between those ropes.
Yeah, he was great.
He
I
was
don't know why they ever let him go. I would expect you have a contract for life.
yeah.
You can go keep going as long as you can go.
Yep. But also, once again, heavy hitter that went to this high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he was originally from South Dakota, just like Brock Lesnar, and he wound up in Minnesota. And he wound up then after Robbinsdale High, he went to the University of Nebraska, and he studied journalism. He was also in a band. He was in a band called Gene Carroll and the Shades.
Oh, wow.
And I think they had a few like regional hits, something they had like big national hits. Like
Yeah.
Jimmy Hart had that one with the Gentrys. It was like a top 10 hit or something like that. But Gene Carroll and the Shades, I think they had a song that was like bigger, like locally.
What doesn't Gene did when the one wrestling album he did Tutti Frutti?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe?
That one video of him and Nikolai Volkov where he's singing and he goes, "I gotta tell you, you are the shits."
Yeah. Whoa,
And-
whoa.
We may be talking
There's
about some.
There's another, the second wrestling album, Pile Driver. He sings "Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo."
Oh God. I'll listen to that.
And after the whole rock stardom thing didn't work out, he got into broadcasting. He became Gene Leader, and he was a radio DJ. He worked at a radio station in Omaha. Then he wound up going back to Minnesota, back to Minneapolis, St. Paul. Worked at a few radio stations and TV stations. And back then, that's how they got a lot of the announcers. Like Lance Russell, the famous guy from Memphis, was a news guy.
Hello,
And
fans.
Dave-
Lance Russell here. Yeah.
Such a good announcer.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good announcer. And then Dave Brown was the one he would be partnered with. They call him Dave Brown the Weather Clown because he was a weatherman.
The weather clown.
And so he gets into working with the AWA through them. And by 1970, he's a ring announcer. He's an interview. Occasionally, he would do commentary on matches too. And obviously, like a lot of these people, he moved on to the WWF. And they actually cashed in. This is on one of those Hulkamania tapes where one of the first times they came to Minnesota when they were going national, one of the big matches was Okerlund and Hulk Hogan against Fuji and George Animal Steel in a match.
There's training videos leading up to that.
Yeah,
that's
where he's in the
stuff.
tank tops. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe I think it was a Saturday Night's Main Event. I
Yeah.
think.
Put that cigar out,
Yeah.
Gene. He's having him drink raw eggs. He's having him like run up the steps with Hogan on his back.
I would have loved to seen the B-roll of that stuff.
Oh yeah, it was
Like
probably-
him puking.
Yeah. I mean, Gene looks like he's 5 foot, like 4'2" next to Hogan, especially like 1986 Hogan. Oh my God.
And apparently there's this old story about how he would like to sleep au naturel, we'll say. He liked to sleep sans clothing. And one time he was drunk and he kind of wandered out of his hotel room. So there's just a naked Gene Okerlund in the
Oh
lobby.
my God. That's when you
So,
put that cigarette out.
Put that cigarette. Yeah. So yeah, then he's leaves for WCW in '93, and then at that point he's known for the 900 line plugs
Yeah.
too.
1-900-909-9900. That's in my head. forever.
Fans,
Yeah.
there is
Call
somebody
now.
that will be leaving
Yeah.
WW, and he would always do these things, but he got a cut of the money. That's why he'd always try to do these big plugs. He got to
yeah.
cut the 900 money.
All right,
And,
now come down to the ring. Ric Flair, because Ric Flair would do promo on every Nitro there for like 95, 96.
Yeah.
One of the other things I loved on that too was I actually won a T-shirt from the WCW
Oh, really?
900 line
Wow, that's
once.
awesome.
It was like a white WCW crew T-shirt. I think it did it was like trivia or something like that. And you got 3 questions right, and you won a prize.
That's cool.
And yeah, so yeah, then that's when they made him Scheme Gene
Yeah,
in
Scheme
WWE too. And he came back a few times. Him and Heenan called the Gimmick Battle Royal at WrestleMania X7. And then he was the host of WWE Confidential. He did some stuff for the network, and for before that WWE 24/7 Classics on Demand, whatever they call it. He would do like the old school Raws. He was a narrator for WWE Storytime. The last thing he did for WWE was he did an interview. Unless he did on camera, was he interviewed Raw or on that Raw 25 show they did. He interviewed AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, wow. And remember
And
he
then
did the what was the show? The the eyeball. Was that the Insider? Or was that-
Confidential. That was
Confidential. That was
WWE
yeah.
I
he
like
did
Confidential.
the
I like
voiceover
the
for
one
that.
show they did where they put like the Legends house.
Oh
When
yeah.
they put all the legends.
Oh yeah,
in the
yeah,
house.
Legends House. Yeah.
That was really fun.
And then he was just this
And-
like horny old guy who wanted to drink all the time.
Everybody had to pretend they didn't know Pat Patterson was gay.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's a big reveal. We've known this for 30 years.
Legends house, good stuff.
So some of the other people, those are some of the older graduates, and then the main people they talk about with Robbinsdale High, there were a bunch of people who
you skipped his last paragraph there.
Oh yeah. Because it's so sad. A lot of these things don't have the best endings.
Yeah.
He had a severe fall late in 2018. His condition rapidly worsened, and he did pass away on January 2nd, 2019. And do you want to keep going? Do you want to say the rest for another day? What do you want to do
we
here?
can go. We're good. We're hour 45 in. Yeah.
Because we have so many people who all graduated Robbinsdale High between 1976 and 1978. The two big ones, I didn't even do a whole big write-up for these two because I think maybe we should do, if we are going to do something next week, maybe we just do these two guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
Well,
Rick
these would
Rude and
be-
Kurt Hennig.
These would be guys that we can do a whole show on just solo.
Yeah.
So we can just say they went to their school, and you can do like a brief of just each person here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, especially these two.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys, there's not, like, the other guys, there's not as much.
Yeah.
But Rick Rude and Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, absolutely. Like, Rick Rude, obviously the Intercontinental Champion, legendary feud with the Warrior,
I mean,
was great in WCW.
his pose
Yeah.
is still legendary.
Everyone calls that do the Rick Rude.
The
Okay.
ravishing Rick Rude.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I'd like to have right now.
Yeah.
For me,
Oh,
what
you
caught
sweat
my attention with
hogs.
him, which is obviously like when he came out, I was just like, okay, this guy, he looked like a video game character, just
Yeah.
jacked beyond belief, and
The big perm.
the
Yeah.
big perm, the ladies would go nuts, and he just had
Mustache.
the mustache. But when he wrestled the Warrior and he put the Warrior's like wife on his tights,
Yeah.
Jake. That was
Yeah,
Jake.
Jake, oh
yeah,
yeah,
Jake.
Jake, like just anytime he wrestled somebody, his tights just looked
Yeah.
awesome. Like,
The airbrush.
yeah, they were
Rick
really
Rude was
really
good.
cool.
Should have been world champion in
Yep.
WWF. I know he was WCW World International Champion.
And
whatever.
then Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, was probably
also should have been world champion. in
probably my
WWF.
favorite, one of my favorite first heels that I've seen. I just like, I fucking
Yeah,
love
'cause
this
he was
dude.
like, wow, he's good. He's a good wrestler.
I used to
He
always
was-
spit my gum out and try to slap it out of the air.
I do that too. I still do that. He was actually in the first wrestling match I ever saw live.
Oh wow.
Kurt Hennig.
How about that?
It was before. It was in WWF, but it was before he was Mr. Perfect. It was when he was first coming in, and he beat, I think, DJ Peterson, who was just an AWA guy. I think he teamed with the Trooper, who was the Patriot without a mask.
Yeah. So I
The original Patriot.
I've been using. I'm not gonna go too long on it because I'm sure you're hearing a lot of it too. I've been using the Stereo app, that Jackson put me onto, and there's a gentleman that I met on there. That it's one of those things where I meet people and then we start
Yeah, drink.
talking. They're like, "You're a podcast guy," and then I say, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, we met this other cool dude on there. He does a podcast," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, we know each other," and they're like, "What?" But we met this dude named Joe. His name on there is Joey Butts, and he's a huge wrestling fan. And one of the trivia questions he gave me is, "Who's the first person to kick out of the perfect plex?" I said
Was
Bret
it
Hart.
Hogan?
I said Bret Hart, and he said it was right.
I'm pretty sure Hogan did.
Was it?
I think Hogan did it at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, let's see here.
Yeah, maybe.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. You can finish I'll look it up while you're looking.
So yeah, those two. I think next week maybe we cover those two in a lot more detail because you could do a whole show on each one of them individually. But there were some other people that didn't have quite the careers that those two guys had. One guy had a cup of coffee in the big leagues was Brady Boone. Dean Peters was his real name.
First person to kick out of the perfect plex was Bret Hart in 1991. Bret Hart would be the first final, one of the final.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe on their record.
I want to say that one Royal Rumble where the first Rumble Hogan won, I think he kicked out of the perfect plex.
Yeah, I think he gives it to him. Hogan gets right up.
Oh yeah,
Does
maybe he
his
let it go.
no-sell.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know the first guy to beat him when he was Mr. Perfect was Beefcake.
So it says
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden, June 5th, 1990. It was Hulk Hogan, but I think because it was a Rumble and it wasn't like a pinning situation,
Oh, okay.
that's why they gave it to
Okay.
Bret.
June 5th, 1990. The Rumble's in January. It would have been June. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
I still say it's Hogan.
My money's
Oh,
on
It
it
was a
Hogan as
pinning.
well.
It was a pinning situation. It 100% was Hogan because the ref was counting a 3.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, and Hogan just gets right back up. I remember it.
Yeah.
And he starts doing the Hulk up.
Yeah. 100%. Yep, you're right. Go ahead. So I got it wrong. I thought it was Bret Hart. It was
See,
Hogan.
Dean Peters, Brady Boone, he was class of 1976 Robbinsdale High with Rick Rude and Kurt Hennig. And he was the captain of the gymnastics team there.
Mm.
A very flexible guy, very athletic guy, used a lot of aerial moves and things like that. And he started wrestling in the Pacific Northwest in the Oregon Territory as Brady Boone. He was billed as the cousin of Billy Jack Haynes. They kind of looked a little bit alike. He did win the PNW tag team titles twice, once with Coco Samoa and once with Ricky Santana in the early and mid 80s. And he would do like TV jobs. He would be like a guy when the WWF was in that area. He would come in and just lose matches. And he would win sometimes on house shows too. He would
Got really fast there for a second. Yeah. There was a lag, and then it bunched all your words together for a second. Like,
and I already talk fast, so that's not good.
It was. I mean, it was still clear, but it was funny.
And so yeah, he would beat Steve Lombardi a lot, the Brooklyn Brawler, eventual Brooklyn Brawler.
Met him,
and then you didn't even know you met him, but you
had no idea until you told me.
The original MVP.
Yeah, that's right. One of the original Kim Cheese too.
Yeah.
And Brady Boone came back to the WWF in 1990 as Battle Cat. He wore a mask. He was Battle Cat. He would do a lot of flashy aerial moves. He beat Bob Bradley and Paul Diamond on TV, but and nobody knows exactly why, but he was fired for undisclosed reasons a little bit after he started as Battle Cat. And for a few weeks, they put Bob Boone in the same gimmick.
And then they just dropped
and
it.
Then they just kind of let it go.
It was kind of goofy looking. Now maybe if
Yeah,
he was Battle Cat with a lucha mask, then it would have been like, okay.
But he kind of tried to cash in on what he did there. He wore a mask for a while, and he was Fire Cat, or Lynx in the UWF and Herb Abrams' UWF. And he was actually on their only pay-per-view, the Beach Brawl pay-per-view. Him and Jim Cooper lost to the Blackhearts, who were Tom Nash, who was one of Luna Vachon's, I think it was her first husband, and then Gangrel, who was her second husband. No, it was her second husband, then Gangrel, who was her third husband.
Oh, my God.
And I think she was their manager.
What a world. Wrestling.
Wrestling is crazy. He also wrestled as Firecat in Global Wrestling Federation in Texas, All Japan, and in WCW. And he also wrestled some TV matches for in WCW just as Brady Boone. And one of his big fans was Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam liked Battle Cat. He liked the athletic style. He actually, Brady Boone helped RVD kind of get started in the business. He helped get Rob Van Dam his first tour of Japan, with Giant Baba with All Japan Wrestling. And then Brady Boone retired in the mid-90s. He became a referee for WCW. And he was driving home from a TV taping in Orlando. He lived in Tampa. And he was killed in a car accident on December 15th, 1998.
It's Heidi's birthday. Not the actual year, but actually,
she was alive. So.
Yeah, she was alive, but that was her birthday.
Yeah, she wasn't born then.
Yeah, she was born.
Not that day.
Yeah, not that day, but not that year. Not that year. She was already born, yeah. My brother would just be getting born like 5 days before this. I think he was born in 98. Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead.
The next guy we have, the Z-Man, Tom Zink,
the Z-Man.
also class of 1976.
Good-looking man, as Tony Schiavone would say.
Sound like a great radio name. The Z-Man on T102.
The Z-Man here on 98.5.
Here's some tunes for you.
Yeah.
And he was a soccer player. He was too small for the football team, so he played soccer.
Nothing wrong with soccer. How about this? That school has 1,000 kids.
Yeah.
And has a soccer and a football program.
How about that?
And none of our schools in this area will support. Only like a handful support a soccer team.
They also had an ice hockey team, but it's also Minnesota, so of course they did.
Minnesota, that's how it goes.
You get a hockey team.
Yeah, you get hockey. Everybody played hockey in Minnesota.
They paint the lines with thermite.
Yeah, and then it blows up. That's the government won't tell you that.
I have secret access.
Yeah.
Top clearances.
Off the grid. Anyway.
So from there, Tom Zink would wind up getting much bigger later on. He would study speech communications at the University of Minnesota. He got really into bodybuilding. He put on a ton of muscle mass. And by 1981, he might have been doing something else too.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Especially
been on those candies.
by 1981, he was Mr. Minnesota. And he was at another bodybuilding contest, and that's where he met Road Warrior Animal, who we talked about a few weeks ago when he passed. And Animal linked him up with Eddie Sharkey and Brad Rangens, and they trained him how to wrestle. And he was a pretty big hit right away. People like Tom Zank. He was tied. It was a tie in 1984. He was working as an undercard babyface in the AWA, and he tied for Rookie of the Year in the Wrestling Observer Awards in 1984 with a young lion from New Japan, Kiichi Yamada. And Tony, do you know who Kiichi Yamada
I
is?
have no idea.
Well, he was in your pro wrestling grade.
Jushin?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Now I know.
And so after AWA, Tom Zink moved on the Pacific Northwest, much like Brady Boone did, and he was a tag champion there with Scott Doring. He won the PNW heavyweight title. He wrestled in Canada for a bit too with Dan Profit, Phil LaFon. He was a Canadian International Tag Title, but it was when he was working in Canada that he started dating the sister of his next tag team partner, Rick Martel.
Ooh.
Or the sister-in-law, rather. The sister-in-law of Rick Martel.
Oh, okay. Do you think Scott Doring was related to Danny Doring? Dastardly Danny Doring? Maybe.
Probably not. I'm gonna guess
probably
no.
not. Anyway, Rick Martel.
And they became the Can-Am Connection.
Ooh.
And this is where Tom Zink kind of got thrust into the mainstream.
Canada,
they were
America connection. Get it?
Yeah, Canadian American.
Nailed it.
Like, I didn't get that as a kid though.
They wrestled a bit in. By the way, Rick Martel is that guy. I was like, why is he not in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Yeah, apparently.
That's my guy now for that.
Yeah, I don't know if he had some type of on the outs with them over something.
I don't think he was in that lawsuit.
No, I don't think he
But yeah,
was.
who knows?
But that's over now. But still.
Yeah, they're gonna hold a grudge though.
Oh
Probably.
yeah, definitely. That sucks because Demolition won't get in the Hall of Fame. So they're both dead.
Exactly. Sadly.
Who's Demolition now that you have the New Day?
Oh yeah.
So they were quickly signed by the WWF. They did some Japanese tours, but they were in the WWF, and they were really almost certainly going to be the tag team champions. It looked like they were being groomed to beat the Hart Foundation. They were in a feud with the Islanders. They were in the opening match of WrestleMania 3. They beat Bob Orton and Don Morocco. But shortly after they started feuding with the Islanders, Tom Zink quit WWE. He had a pay dispute. He claims that he found out that Rick Martel was making twice as much as he was. And so he's like, nah, I'm out.
Maybe, but I don't believe that. Not if they're in the same spot.
Yeah, surprised me. But I mean, Martel was also, maybe it was because he was the AWA champion right before this. That might be what they're, who knows?
More leverage.
Yeah.
Arrogance
for
today's modern man.
Arrogance, dude. Yes, I am a model.
Yeah.
So they wind up just kind of doing the same thing. Okay, we're just going to have another guy in white trunks team with Martel. We put Tito Santana with him. And they were Strike Force, and they did win the tag titles.
So Tom Zank would have stuck around. He could have won the tag titles. Instead, he went to WCW. He was the Z-Man.
My dad was a fan of Strike Force.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, for the time they were good.
And then I met Tito Santana.
Lame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he a nice guy? Because you always hear Tito Santana's a nice guy.
I was so young, I don't really remember, but he seemed super cool. He was. I remember him being very big though. He was a big dude. Like,
well, yeah, but I mean, he didn't look big back then. But when guys are 6'7" and you're only 6'2", you're not gonna look that big.
Yeah.
One of the first wrestlers I met, I think he was an agent at the time, was at a Spectrum show. I was like 5 or 6. Was Pedro Morales.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That show that I met Tito Santana was the one where Jim the Anvil Neidhart was there in Shenandoah.
Oh, okay.
And he choked me out taking a photo.
Wow. I was on a show with Tito. I don't know, it had to be a couple years ago. And he was wrestling. I'm like, wow, Tito's still. I mean, he didn't do like he did, but he's still moving pretty good for being an older guy.
Dude, I can't wait for wrestling to come back. I just want to go to a show.
He was one of the better workers at that time for WWE.
Oh
too,
yeah,
or
it
WWF.
definitely was.
Hopefully this election is over soon and
like everyone says, it all ends when the election happens. So, I hope that's true.
That's not really going to happen.
Yeah, I hope that's 100% true. So that way we just get back to everything.
Whoever wins, they're going to be the ones that be COVID's over, and now we're going to rebuild the economy, and we're going to be the ones to save the day.
Yeah, and everything's fine. Well, the YouTube videos I've been watching, the ads anyway that come before it said, hey, it's all going to be fine.
It's going to be great.
And those political ads are nonstop on YouTube.
Oh my God!
God.
And you can't skip them. It's like your video will play after the ad. Like does anyone out there
like puppies? Do you like little kids?
Then you won't like Donald
Then
Trump.
you should not vote Biden.
Yeah, it's like does anyone who have their mind made up They're like, I'm gonna watch a video on my favorite band or whatever. I'm like, oh man, that 6-second video. You know what? I'm gonna change my mind
I
now.
think I don't think
No one
there's.
says
I
that.
literally
Yeah.
already voted. It's too late now.
Yeah,
I already
no
voted.
one does that in the history of like I get them fucking things in the mail every day. Like, does anyone go, wait a minute, what? I'm voting for the other guy.
no.
But then the next day they get their one. Ah, what do I do? No, if you're that big of an idiot, then you shouldn't be allowed to vote.
One of the
Could
cool
you
things
imagine
is
every
the,
day you get mail?
Yeah.
You're just flip flopping.
Now I'm for him.
Oh my god! I'm so happy I got this letter
Yeah.
today.
one of the cool things I saw is the because I got my ballot yesterday and put it in the mail. I'm doing the vote by mail thing, and the
voted
vice
Kanye,
presidential guy, huh?
You voted Kanye, right?
Oh God.
He's not even on the ballot. I guess you could write him in.
Write him in.
But the I think you know who I voted for. But the libertarian
Jesse the Butt Ventura.
vice. Yeah, I wrote in him. Yeah, Ventura Kanye, 2020, and the libertarian vice president guy. His name is Spike. It's like Jeremy Spike Cohen.
Oh.
I voted
I'm gonna
Spike
vote for
Dudley.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I would have voted for Spike Dudley.
I would have voted for when Ventura was on Howard. I want you to be my vice president.
Yeah.
Ventura Stern. I would have voted for that.
Yeah,
Fuck.
100%. Could you imagine
Well,
those
Howard wouldn't do the tax returns either. That's why he dropped out of the
Yeah.
governor's race way back when.
Can't blame
He didn't even know. Like, he's like, oh, he could just not do that.
him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with Tom Zink, getting back to
Yeah.
wrestling here.
Z-Man.
After he left WWF, he split some time between the AWA, went back there, and he was in All Japan for a bit too, kind of in like Johnny Ace spot. And then he joined WCW in the September of '89 as the Z-Man. That's where the Z-Man thing came in. He beat the Cuban Assassin, Fidel Sierra, at Clash of the Champions 8. Cuban Assassin is actually Bill Alfonso's stepbrother.
Mm.
And the big things he did here, he and Brian Pillman won the U.S. tag titles in 1990, and then he beat Arn Anderson for the WCW TV title in 91, I think, after he came back from an injury. And they also won the six-man titles. That was when they still had the world six-man title. And it was the Z-Man, Dustin Rhodes, and Big Josh.
Oh, Big Josh.
Big Josh,
Doink.
who was Matt Bourne.
Doink.
Doink.
He was
And
what was he, lumberjack? I guess you could say mountain
yeah,
man.
Big Josh
yeah.
was a lumberjack, not a Yukon lumberjack.
Yeah, not
He was
no.
I think he was like an Oregon lumberjack.
He came out with a bear though one pay per view.
He
With
did
a
come out with a
bear?
bear, yeah.
On WCW.
And
Yep.
WCW.
And didn't he wrestle? He wrestled Black Blood once. It was Billy Jack Haynes under a mask, I think.
Black blood. That's like
And
remember when there was Bad Street the character?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at first he was Fantasia, and then they was like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And then he was Bad Street. And Black Blood, his hometown was he was from a little town in France.
Ooh, black where
That
the
was
blood
the-
runs black.
From wherever.
Yeah.
Wing. Whatever. Oh boy.
The best one back then was there was this team called the Patriots. It was Todd Champion and Firebreaker Chip, and
What
they
a
were from
stupid name.
WCW Special Forces.
Yeah, because
that was their hometown.
what become the power plant? Ugh.
And so after that, Zink was released from WCW in 1994. He didn't do a whole lot after that. He wrestled in All Japan a few times. He was in the AWF, which had a lot of older guys, and the AWF was out of Chicago, I think, and it didn't last too long. And he kind of dropped off the map after that. He came back in the late 90s, early 2000s. He was a guest a lot on Meltzer's internet show. He had this thing on this site called eYada.com, and it was where Wrestling Observer Live kind of started. And he would just say he would shoot from the hip constantly. He was always ragging on the McMahons. I remember he called Chris Benoit pound for pound the most roided man in wrestling. He would talk about everybody. He was burning
Wow.
all the
I
bridges.
guess he didn't care because he never come back.
Yeah, and then even from there, he just kind of disappeared after, like, he was like getting a little bit of reputation for being a popular guest, and he just dropped off the map to the point where he did pass away in 2017 at the age of 59, largely due to heart issues. And I think it was a little while before people realized he was dead.
Yeah, because he was so out of the spotlight. And then
Yeah.
he wasn't really in the spotlight until Tony Schiavone's podcast. And he was talking about how Tom Zink's a good-looking man. Tom Zink, dun, 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 Tom Zink.
So unfortunately, we just hit the 2-hour mark.
Okay, so we'll cut it off there.
So
at
yeah, we're gonna
Z-Man.
cut off at Z-Man, and we will finish this next week, and we will do the class of 1977, and we'll get into who that was, and then we'll
We have one
finish-
guy from '78 too.
Kiss,
and
probably.
one guy from 78. So we'll
Ted
we'll,
Nugent.
we'll
For that one
finish-
from '78, you might want to get Matt Turner to listen to the show next
Uh-oh.
week because he might like that one.
Yeah. So yeah, so that once again, so this is kind of the new format. This one went a little longer because we did have to throw Hell in a Cell in there. But yeah, this is kind of it now, man. We're not doing weekly reviews and all that stuff as much anymore. So we guys hope you like the new format. We are gonna stick to more of these cool stories and topics, and I'm sure next week.
Impressions.
Yeah, and
Not
impressions.
voices
And,
here.
I'm sure next week we will do the recap of Hell in a Cell as well as the part 2 of this.
Yeah.
All right.
if you
So
will.
Brian, what do you got to plug here? Besides, because I want you to go and watch your last 4 minutes of your game here too.
I don't want to watch this game. I don't think.
This NFC East is a shit show.
The New York Giants are very likely going to be in first place in the NFC East here soon.
With a 2-2 record. Or
2-4.
2-4.
Well,
Um,
use the old
what
thing.
about
2-5.
If the team's name was the actual things, who would win? I think a giant could probably kill an eagle.
Yeah. We don't even have a name,
Probably.
so what does that mean for
Yeah,
us? We're just
y-
the
y-
city.
I guess everything wins. Yeah, you
Yeah.
fight the city.
well, no,
Yeah.
could one giant beat an entire football team?
Yeah.
All right, no, because there are several giants. They're the Giants. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
a bunch of giants could beat a football team. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's very true.
but a cowboy could too because they could just shoot the giant.
Yeah, because it'd have
Yeah.
a 6-shooter. It'd be high noon.
Yeah. I can't say much for our old name because
And-
we didn't beat many Cowboys either.
and the Saints would never beat anybody.
Yeah. No. Children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do I have to plug? I have to plug Murder, My Dude, as always. It's a true crime comedy podcast that you can find on, if you just look up Murder, My Dude, you can go to project2minute.com. We have
Links are
merch
below.
there. This week we did Vlad the Impaler, kind of like a Halloween theme thing. He's
Ooh.
the inspiration
Ooh.
for Dracula, so we did that.
Vlog.
And next week's a really special. We're going to do Halloween, but I always like those Halloween movies like Campfire Tales and Trick or Treat,
Yeah.
where you have like a few different stories in one movie.
Did you-
Tales from the Hood, I think, was like
have
that
you,
too.
have you seen Real Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
I haven't, no.
It's pretty good.
But so we're gonna do a bunch of smaller Halloween themed stories next week, and next week is also our birthday episode. It'll be 3 years we've been doing this.
Wow.
Well, 2 full years, and we're going into our 3rd year. It's
Yeah.
we started at the in October. I think it was October 30th, 1919. Wow, we've been doing this forever. 2018 was our first show.
The
Wow.
the
Good for
network
you.
is coming up for us as well. We're coming up on our 2-year.
Nice.
This show itself is a little further down the line, but the network inception is
Yeah,
coming up
itself,
very
yeah.
very soon, and interviews with everyday people is coming up soon. So yeah, man, it's exciting stuff coming up, man. I think for both of us, man, where we came and starting and collaborating and working together, man, it's been a fun 2 years, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're about like 3 or 4 months away from episode 100, which will be cool.
Yeah, we're getting there.
That's when we're gonna have that old school WWF music. The Saturday Night's Main Event. Dun, 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 dun,
Episode 100 is when we
dun,
get the cease and
dun,
desist letter.
dun.
we're going for it.
Yeah, if they come after us for that one.
For
song.
Well,
episode one-
if you really want that, you have to get the original Saturday Night's Main Event music "Obsession" by Animotion.
Oh, jeez.
We gotta get a 100 episode logo done, a special logo. Maybe Tori can do us as
Yeah, she could.
as character as wrestlers.
There we go. Yeah.
Now there's somebody that would be interested to get insight on the music. She'd probably have liked the musical number on.
I'll have her.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm sure she'll come over
Send
and
her
hang
a
out.
video.
some.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll come over and watch it.
It's funny because I was saying how like I saw Spamalot. She was in Spamalot. She was the
Oh,
lady
wow.
at the lake.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
She's super talented. Who would you want to be if you were? I mean,
An
Matt
80s
Hardy.
guy?
Any of the. I mean, Matt Hardy would be.
Well,
but that would
are
be-
we doing Saturday Night Main Event?
Well, no, I'm just saying for like if episode 100, if we do like a special, you know how Truth Behind Illusion, we're all we're all
Yeah.
monsters. Like you get to pick a wrestler.
We gotta pick main event people. Like
I mean, I would want to be Sean with the mullet and the glasses,
Okay,
like
yeah.
looking down the glasses. I want to be that Sean.
Yeah.
Would you be the Repo Man, Brian?
Might be Warrior. I don't know.
Well, I'm thinking I gotta fit something into my physique like Vader
No,
or
yeah.
Andre.
Bastion Booger.
Pat
Oh,
Booker would be
God.
great.
You could be Bam Bam. I could be
Oh my
Razor.
God,
Yeah,
we could-
Bam Bam would be great.
Let's
yeah.
make you Bam Bam
I met
Bigelow.
Bam Bam once.
Yeah.
We'll put flames on your head.
Our one-man
Yeah.
gang.
Actually, no. I think it'd be cooler. See, here's the thing: when you make the logo,
Big
it's
B
only our
King.
faces.
Yeah.
So I think for Brian, I think him wearing the Vader mask would be cool.
Okay, yeah.
You think?
Yeah, that,
And then,
that
like,
would be cool.
Or you could have Macho, you had beard, so you have Macho Man glasses
Yeah,
and bandana.
I could do Macho Man. You could Warrior for you would be cool
yeah.
with the face paint.
Yeah, something like that. Or I don't know who else.
Andy dressing up like the
Hogan.
Ultimate Warrior, that would never happen.
Yeah,
never.
never.
Well, we'll figure it out. I'm sure she's watching. Hey, Tori, I just realized you are
Oh
watching.
my
yeah.
God, we summoned her.
Yes, we summoned Tori. Yeah, so that'll. Yeah, Andy, what do you got to plug?
Hey, if you want to watch my shirt, buy some blue gold shirts on Pros and Tees. There's 2 up there, and then Outbreak Quarantine on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Watch more matches. They're coming all the time. So we've recorded. I think we're good till almost December
Nice.
for matches. There's only like 3 or 4 weeks, so it's every Friday at 9, I believe, or Saturday at 9. It depends on when they want to do it. But anyway, YouTube Outbreak Quarantine.
And you can check myself and Andy out on Mondays. Truth Behind Illusion.
Mhm.
We talk all things supernatural. Next week we will be doing natal charts.
Oh, okay. Which
Which
makes you think of babies.
yeah, prenatal charts. Yeah. So this is more or less like your
Stars
your
and
stars,
astrology
and your
based,
moons.
yes.
And I'm not.
This is a
I know. I
this is
said
a sad week for me when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Why is that?
Because James Randi died, the amazing Randy.
Oh.
okay.
Wow.
He was the guy, very famous skeptic, and he was a magician too. He was one of the mentors for Penn and Teller. He was the one that had the $1 million challenge. He'd offer $1 million to anybody that could prove any sort of paranormal or psychic stuff, and they could prove it in a laboratory setting. Then they could get $1 million.
No one ever cashed.
Nobody
in.
ever won.
Yeah.
Nobody ever won.
It's a shame.
That's what makes the show fun. We
Yeah.
dive into it and,
The unknown.
and we let you as the fans decide what you think.
Oh yeah, it's totally fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just to bring up because it's a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
James Randi was cool.
So yeah, that, and then check out the rest of the shows in this network. We are really doing well again on Facebook and YouTube, and the audio is doing
On
really well too.
Facebook.
Like it feels like the everyone's coming back, or maybe we have some new listeners. So thank you guys so much. Merch pages are doing all right. Not as good as a couple weeks ago. They were blowing up. But
No.
if you guys want a T-shirt, man, they're
Ebbs
there.
and flows.
Yeah. You grab some T-shirts. Christmas is coming up. If you want to get some cool Christmas gifts or help support the podcast, not only can you buy a shirt from us, but you can also get a Murder My Dude shirt from their site. But that'll do it for Tornado Tag Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Episode 83.
We'll see you next. Yeah, for 84 will be next week. But we'll see you then. See you guys.
My muffler fell out.
Oh,
My muffler.
Oh, muffler.
See where you put it.